My guest today is Danny Walsh. He joined a notorious prison gang in Texas and was later sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. He would end up becoming a shot caller inside some of America's toughest penitentiaries. Now he's sharing what that life was really like.
I grew up in a little neighborhood called Cloverleaf. Most people that are from the Houston area are familiar with it. It was east side of Houston, more of the industrial area. It was a bandito neighborhood, so you could smell the meth cooking in the air.
What did your parents do for work?
My mother was a drug addict alcoholic, and there was a couple of stepfathers, and my mother was pretty much, just one of those women that abused, beat up, and, took the abuse, and when I was 12, I came home. We moved back. We lived in Oklahoma for about 4 years. We moved back to Texas, and in Cloverleaf, and my older brother ran the last stepdad off, and one day I came home from school, and my brother was packing some stuff, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm packing her shit, and either you can help me pack her shit or you can pack your shit." And so I was like, "I guess we're packing her shit." So we packed her stuff, and it was me and my older brother. He was 18 and I was 13, so just went from there, and try to stay good, try to stay, in the right path, but it was a bad neighborhood, and played football, was into sports and everything, and just doing drugs got me squirreled away. And the freshman year of high school, the first day of summer, I get out, and my brother wakes me up 5 o'clock in the morning and says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Man, school's over, man. It's summertime." He goes, "Oh, you're not going to lay here sucking up with my air conditioning. You're going to get a fucking job." So he got me out, kicked me out of the house. He said, "There's some water in the water hose. I'll be back." He left. Eventually got a job because I was like, "Man, this is some bullshit." Got a job, and I saved up a little bit of money, bought me a motorcycle, right? And my brother was like, "Okay," I bring it home, and my buddy from work's there. And my brother's like, "Okay, don't say anything, all right." And then my buddy leaves. My brother looks at the motorcycle, start walking around, and goes, "I just don't understand." I was like, "What do you don't understand?" He's like, "How all your shit's going to fit on that bike." And I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Oh, you're a big boy now." He said, "You're a grown man. You're buying motorcycles, doing all this stuff. We're going to get you your own place." I was 15, 16, just turned 16. And he went to apartment complex and lied to him and told him that I was 18 years old. And that was it.
Where was your biological dad?
He took off when I was born. He was a military guy. He was in the Army. He was here in Texas, but he was from Hyannisport, Massachusetts. And so when my mother got pregnant, he already had another family and everything, So he was like, he left. He was out of there. He wasn't going to hang out. But so it was like stepfathers, and different guys or whatever, kind of deal. Same story as everybody else. Just about it was a bad neighborhood. It was this, it was that. It was a lot of my poor decisions, but I mean the environment didn't help a lot.
How did it feel to have that, I guess, growing up fast pushed on you that at that age?
I tell people this story, and this does not make my brother look good. The first time I passed out drunk, I was 8 years old. My stepfather told me that you weren't a man unless you could drink whiskey with your dad, and so I remember, passing out 8 years old, and so drinking and stuff. I started drinking pretty early, and I was in VFW halls at 12 years old, drinking long neck bottles, and growing up the way we did, my mother wasn't, wasn't any parenting going on, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it. It was just, she just made it, you know what I mean? And my brother, I remember at 13 years old, I came home, and my brother was like, "Get in a van." He had a buddy named Nick, ex-military guy, and get in the van. And he's like, I was like, "Where are we going?" He goes, "We're gonna get you some pussy." I was like, "Dang." It's like, "All right," I'm 13 years old. I'm like, "Hell yeah," Takes me to a cheap motel room, and a 28-year-old woman, and so that was my first experience, and I look back on it now, and it shouldn't have happened, You know what I mean? I understand that now. Conceptually, I realized that the way I grew up was not normal, and that type of thing should never have happened. And it changed me, you know what I mean? The way I view women and stuff is different because of it, you know what I mean? And, so the way I grew up, my brother was a violent guy, very dangerous dude. My sister was she's still alive, very dangerous person. We grew up in bad neighborhoods, man, you know what I mean? And so, growing up like that, it's quick, man. There's no parental guidance. You're just, and so I don't know. It's strange. It seemed normal. I mean, now that I'm older, I look at that and go, "Wow, man, what happened?" Why did But it was normal at the time. Everything is. When you're a kid, you normalize everything around you. There's nothing. I mean, even like we were poor too. I mean, no food in the refrigerator or anything like that. But at the time, it didn't feel that way. I didn't feel like we were like that poor, or I didn't feel like that we had that much less than other people. So as I got older is when I started looking back and going, wow, that probably didn't help. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. It's a different environment.
Did you compare yourself to other kids that
No.
say you went to school with?
No, never did. Yeah, I never thought about it. You know what I mean? I never really put it in perspective, and I don't know why. I think maybe everybody else was that way. I lived in a very poor neighborhood. I mean, Cloverleaf is a very, very poor neighborhood. And I had buddies that, they had no air conditioning. They slept on dirt floors. I mean, it was bad. So I don't know. It looked like the way everybody else lived. Didn't seem that much different. So no, I didn't think of it that way. I did not. I never did.
Did you put blame on your mother
No.
as a kid?
No, I never put blame on anybody. I never look back and remember, I did so much time. I did so much time in isolation. Years. I mean, I think I went like 6 years one time without seeing grass. So like I went years just being in a cell. And there's long times where I didn't have no cellie and I was by myself. And so you break all that stuff down. I mean, I was in there a long time, and there's a lot of time to go over a lot of different things. And so, yeah, I broke all that stuff down when I was in prison, and I was like, yeah, I let it go. I didn't let it, because of the abuse and stuff. I grew up, a lot of abuse and everything. And the ex-father who, was doing all the abuse and stuff, I never, I didn't want him to rule and control my life. I didn't want him to dictate now. I didn't want him to have that power over me. And that's what it felt like every time that I would think about him or I'd get angry about things. And, I was like, yeah, I can't let this dude rule me. I can't let him control me. And control now, he had so much power over me in the past when I was a kid. And it kind of shaped and dictated the man that I grew into be because of him. And in the cell, you're sitting there and you're fighting the demons, and that demon got fought. And I knew right away that I wasn't going to let him have that power over me. And so I never really, I don't think about, and people, it's funny because people go, man, you seem to have such a good attitude for someone who did so much time. And the thing is, man, I didn't think I was going to get out. And the life that I lived in there was tough. You know what I mean? Like it was tough, you know what I mean? And so like when I got out here, I tell people, people ask me, how you doing? I said, man, I'm blessed every day to be alive. And it's true. I'm blessed, man. I mean, I can't get upset. I can't be mad. Why? Look at what I'm doing. Look at the life I have. I went from a hole in the ground to this. I am happy. I don't look back. I don't think about the prison sentence at all. It took about 5 or 6 years for me to stop dreaming about killing people or people killing me. I woke up every night with the same scenarios going on in my mind, barely slept because it took a long time for the residual effect to be gone, But I still woke up happy because I was like, man, who gets this chance? Like this is the lottery. I mean, these people did not want to let me out. I still had 7 years on my sentence when I got out. I got out 7 years early, overturned my sentence, man, because I didn't give up. I fought the whole way. And the people who know me that was in prison will tell you, man, I woke up, I was an extreme asshole, man. I didn't allow calendars in my cell. I didn't hang pictures on my freaking wall. I didn't make my cell my house. I'm a prisoner. I'm not at home. This is not, you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't understand people. I would see dudes act that way. They'd get there and man, I mean, they were just kicked back. And I mean, he was like, damn dog, you're in prison. You're okay with that? I'm just doing the best of a bad situation. Not like that, you ain't. You know what I mean? Because to me, this is not normal. A man shouldn't live like this. This is not for a human being should not live underneath these conditions. And if you're okay with it, then you're gonna accept certain things, and then when you get out, you're gonna be that much more conditioned to come back in because it wasn't that bad. Remember, you were living like that was your house. I was 19 years old at Huntsville, getting out of prison. They got a little bus station they send everybody to, and they tell everybody, get on the bus, get the hell out of Huntsville. They tell everybody that. I'm in that bus station, just a kid. A guy did 15 years. I'll never forget this guy. I'll never forget his face. He's sitting there, and the guy that was overseeing the bus depot area allowed them to go get some liquor. They go down to the liquor store, and they go get some liquor, and they come back, and the guy starts drinking. He gets drunk. He starts crying in the bus station, talking about all his life was back there in Huntsville. He had nothing to look forward to in the free world. Everything he owned, everything he was in there. He's crying. This is a grown man. And I'm looking at this guy going, I can't believe this is happening. You know what I'm saying? Because that place sucked bad, you know? And they came and got him and took him away. So when I got sentenced to 30 years, I told myself, I said, man, Danny, you're going to have to, this is going to be a challenge. I didn't want to become institutionalized. I didn't want to be one of those guys. A big sentence, they just make it their home. And so when everyone wonders why I was such an asshole, that's why. I did not accept being a prisoner. I did not accept it. That's why the Bureau of Prisons didn't like me, because I was an asshole and I gave them the blues. All the way through my sentence, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of Bureau of Prison guards who probably say something because, man, I was an asshole, and I didn't give them a break, you know. And I'm not a tough guy. I'm not. And then there's a lot of people that know me, and they'll say a lot of different things. I'm just super stupid. That's it. Tough guys don't make it in there. I didn't see very many tough guys in prison. I know people assume that there's a lot of tough guys, but they're not. You know, those guys get dealt with. I don't care how big you are, how tough you are. None of that stuff matters. None of it matters. You go to that max, you go to that penitentiary, and if you act like a tough guy, you're going to get dealt with.
Before you ended up in prison, what did young Danny want out of life?
I wanted to be in the military. I wanted to be a military sniper. I wanted to play football. I wanted to play for the University of Texas. I was a good athlete. I was full grown at 12. I haven't grown an inch since then. Big kid. So I'd go to a school and people were like, oh my God, you know, it's Texas football. So I was really good at sports, all of them, basketball, baseball, and everything. But I got arrested 1 month after I turned 18, and I was already enlisted to the Army. I was trying to get my GED because I had dropped out of school to work, and I was trying to get my GED, and someone I knew got arrested and told them that I was doing dirt, and they arrested me. And so when I went to the jailhouse, I had never been to prison before, jail before. My brother came up there, and I was in 1301 Old Harris County Jail. Not a good place to be if you're white. Very bad place to be if you're white. And fresh 18-year-old kid, you know, I came in there, but I'm from the neighborhood, and you know, my brother taught me how to fight and stuff and everything. So he came up there, and I'm beat up. Now they beat me up. I'm not gonna say like, you know, I mean, I got beat up, but I mean, I made it hard on them. I made it take them, two of them, to beat me up. And so then they're like, okay, you know, this guy, you know. So my brother came up there, and I'm beat up, and he looks at me, and he goes, let me see your shoes. First thing he said to me, and he's my hero, my brother, and I had a pair of fours, Jordans. I got a pair of Jordans on now. I love them. But he goes, let me see your shoes. I showed him my Jordans. He goes, I'm going to go downstairs right now, and I'll put money on your books. I'm going to come visit you. If I come and visit you and you ain't got your shoes, you'll never get a dime from me again. He knew what that meant. Them shoes meant that I was fighting and I was staying down. If I didn't have my shoes, that was it. I was like, yeah, man, absolutely, man. Yeah, you know, and he's like, okay, man. And he goes, if you rat, you're not my brother anymore, and you're not welcome in my home anymore. And he's my only family I had, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I wasn't going to rat or not. I'd already been told, you know, the whole play, you know, what you do and everything else, but he was just making sure I knew, you know. And I said, yeah, man, I got this, man. I got this. And so it's like not even like, I know everybody's not raised the same, you know. And, you know, my brother was on his own at 12. So, you know, you, he wasn't a bad guy. You know, he was doing the best he could. He was trying to raise a man, and that's what he thought he was doing. So, you know, life for me was different. Yeah. You know, we was hanging out with gangsters. You know what I mean? Everybody I knew or hung around with were dangerous guys, you know what I mean? And guys who were in the criminal world, you know. So I kind of just followed along, man. You know what I mean? Just went for the ride. And I did drugs. I don't drink people know me in the feds know me for my no drug stance. But I did drugs a lot when I was a kid, a lot of pills. I was smoking crack, doing meth, 13 years old, and everything. And, you know, I don't even remember, like when I was 16, 17, 18 years old, I kind of really don't even remember those years because I was just high and just strung out, you know, and got out of prison, went back to prison. A month later, high-speed chase, got beat up. The cops beat me up really bad, put me in this horrible place, man, this county jail, man. And when I was in there, beat up, I looked at myself and I said, yeah, drugs are not the way for me, you know? And I was like, I had to change my life, and I did. And when I got out again, the next time, I went to school, became a certified welder, but couldn't keep it on that path, man, and got sideways again, not with drugs, with a woman, and got caught right back up, you know, went right back to jail, you know. And so it was an in and out type deal. 3 times I went to TDC. On the 3rd trip, I went straight from TDC to the feds. They took me from, I had a 4-year sentence. They stacked everything, you know. The last offense was the 924C, felony possession of a weapon, and carjacking for the Fed. That was my federal case. I went to county jail. I had a state charge as well. They put me in a bad gang, all blacks. I was the only white guy, you know, fought my whole 17 months in that place. Knew that, you know, I was looking at 30 years, you know, and they were pulling me out of the tank, beat up, because I was getting beat up. And they'd pull me out of the holding tank and say, we'll let you go tomorrow. All you got to do is tell this guy. I was 21. And I was like, no, it ain't happening, man. You know what I mean? They would send me back. I get beat up. And they were using it to try to break me. And the last detective came to me and he was like, if you don't, oh, you're a tough guy. Yeah, you're a tough guy. You know, this, that, and other. And I was kind of like, yeah, I am a tough guy, you know. And he's like, well, if you don't tell on this situation, blah, 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 we're going to put the feds on you. And the feds, like when someone told me that, I was like, I don't even know what that means. And I was like, man, fuck you in the feds. He goes, okay, yeah. And so they got me, you know what I mean? Like the next thing I know, I get all these indictments, carjacking, robbery, all this stuff. You know, I was looking at a little bitty state sentence, you know what I mean? And then I see all this. And I was just like, whoa, man, this is heavy. You know what I mean? This is going to be a big deal, you know? And I go down there and I fight. So I got a cop-out lawyer. And I tell him, man, I'm going to trial. You don't never take the feds to trial. Never. If the feds come to you, plead guilty. If the state comes to you, fight them. But if the feds come to you, they already got everything they need. You're guilty, and they got you. So don't even play games with them. But they were talking about 50 life stack sentences. I was 21 years old. I feel like I'm going to go to trial because I'm not going to, you know. So I go to a week before trial. My hoe ass lawyer comes to me and says, I can get you 15 years. 15 years sounds like a winner to me. I'm like, hell yeah, 15? Man, you should have said that, you know? He leaves. They take me out there, and he goes, don't say nothing about our deal. Oh, absolutely, man. No problem, man. I'm standing up there. Judges. Now, I was very uneducated. I probably got fifth grade education when I went to prison, you know. So the guy's talking, he's saying all this stuff. Big words to me. You know, he goes, propensity. I didn't know what propensity meant. He said, you have a propensity towards violence. Wasn't really sure. He said that you have little respect for the law. I understood that. He said anything less than the upper end of the guideline would depreciate the seriousness of this offense. Is what he told me. And I'm looking at him going, I don't know if this sounds that good to me, man. You know what I mean? And he starts doing the months. And then, you know, there's like first off, at the first one was a stacked sentence on top of the state deal, but he said 60 months for count this, and then he goes for count this and that. That's 235 months, and 235 months, like right off the top of your head, you know, how many years is that? And so when they tell me the months, and they're putting all this stuff together, I'm looking at this guy, I'm going, man, I don't know, you know, I'm not sure if this is 15 or not. And when he hit the thing, the craziest thing happened. As soon as he hit the thing, there's a marshal that transports you from the county jail to the courthouse, a couple marshals, right? Well, there was this one old marshal. And as soon as they went, bam, they tackled me, pinned me to the table, talking about, and I'm wholly confused about what's happening here, okay? The guy's patting me on the shoulder going, it's going to be all right, youngster. It's going to be all right. I'm going, what are these people tripping on? I'm thinking, do they do this to everybody? Is this like when you get your time, they just automatically gaffle you up because they think you're going to act up? And I was like, okay. And they gaffled me up, take me out. I still don't know I got 25-year sentence. I'm like, wow, you know, so I go back to the county jail. No one says nothing to me. I go to county jail and go to sleep. You know, I've been in court all morning. I go to sleep, you know, I wake up. Somebody wakes me up. What's going on? He goes, oh, he's a Christian guy. He goes, man, I'm sorry, bro. I'm so sorry. Man, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I'm good, man. I'm thinking I got 15 years. I know I can do it. And I'm like, man, he was like, you don't have 15. You don't have 15. He goes, you're on the news. So I ran out there because it was the first carjacking case. They had made it a federal crime back then. This was in 93. So I go up there, I'm looking at whoa, 25 years old. 25. I call my lawyer. Don't answer the phone. I'm like, oh, he got me. He sold me out. He literally sold me out because he didn't want to go to trial. He did not want, because he's not getting paid for that. You know, he's a cop-out lawyer. He wants you to hurry up and sign on the dotted line and get you on out of here. So from that point on, I'd say that I just started becoming another person. You know, there's that hope, you know, in the beginning, you know, people start reading Bibles and stuff and praying and hoping that they're going to get out. You know, at that point, I was pretty much like, yeah. You know.
Are you trying to lose weight this summer? If so, Weight Loss by Hims is here to help. Hims offers access to an affordable range of FDA-approved GLP-1 medications, including the Wegovy pill and the Wegovy pen, designed to help you lose the weight and keep it off with support every step of the way. One of the biggest reasons people are turning to Hims is the results. When combined with diet and exercise, Wegovy at Hims can help you lose up to 20% of your body weight. It works by helping regulate your appetite so you naturally eat less and have an easier time keeping the weight off. And if you're not a fan of injections, Hims also offers access to the new Wegovy pill, so there are no needles needed. Ready to reach your goals? Visit hims.com/lockedin to get a personalized, affordable plan that gets you. That's HIMS.com/lockedin, hims.com/lockedin. Weight Loss by Hims is not available in all 50 states. Wegovy is the registered trademark of Novo Nordisk A/S. To get started and learn more, including important safety information, Wegovy clinical study information, and restrictions, visit hims.com.
That's it. I'm switching to Hims.
Why did they give you so much time just for a carjacking? Did someone die? Or?
Nope.
So then why so much time? This seems excessive.
Because, and they stacked it. It's basically a 30-year sentence because they stacked it on top of a 9-year sentence in TDC, simply because I wouldn't testify. And I was an asshole. I was an asshole. I talked smack. Fuck you. I was one of those guys. And when the investigator tried to speak to me, I was just, I look at it now and I know that I could handle the situation differently. But I just was stupid, And I regret it, man, because it cost me, it really did, because they didn't want me, they wanted these other guys, and I could have played it a different way. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do that. I was like, man, fuck you, whatever, and it was a mistake. It was young, stupid, and whatever. And then you kind of get on this rut and this path, and it consumes you and it takes over, and it became more than who I really was.
Did you not testify because you wanted your brother's validation, or because that was a principle of your own?
That's a good question. It's hard to look back on it now, I did a whole life, I don't believe that you should be a rat. If what you're telling, so if you told on me now, I'm cool with that. You're a citizen. That's what we are. We're citizens. Citizens, okay. You call the cops, you do the citizen things, you do all that. And I'm okay with that. If someone could, hey, cool, man, hey, you're a citizen. But if you're like a street guy, you're doing dirt, and then you get caught, my brother told me, he's like, accept your stuff. Don't try to be out there dancing, enjoying the thing, and then, oh no, party's over, and try to get this guy up. That's the problem. It's for me, even now to this day, and I have a good friend that told, and he's a good friend. He's still my friend, and but the reason why was very complex, and I was the judge of this. Remember now, I'm the guy that they brung these cases to when I was in prison. I was the guy that said, yeah, he can't stay, so I reviewed a lot of cases, guys that had sex cases who were 18 years old and their girlfriend was 17 years old. And, people, that kind of thing. And you have to look at these cases and decides people's fate, And so I've reviewed a lot of that. And I'm going to say like this, I'm going to say that I don't necessarily say that it was the principles that were inside my heart, more so than it was, like you said, about validating my brother. He was my hero. And he instilled certain principles in me, and it's what helped me survive prison. It was not just the no-telling part. It was how you confront adversity. And because of that knowledge and the way he taught me, it made prison easy for me.
What did the Texas system teach you about prison politics that would prepare you for the federal system?
Nah, not at all. There's no comparison. The politics in the state, completely different. I came into TDC the third time, assaulted a staff member, which I'll advise you is one of the worst things you can ever do. You're going to catch the worst ass whipping you've ever had in your life when you put your hands on one of them guards. And I did, 25 years old. A black guy told me, he called me young blood. And he said, young blood, he said, you got to set a precedent. I really did. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I knew what precedent meant, And I figured it out, and I was like, okay, I can set precedents, So I assaulted a police officer, a guard there, They beat me up pretty bad. They drug me off to what's called a double-door isolation cell and left me back there because I was beat up bad. And they didn't want to let me back on the compound. The gang members and some of the convicts on the yard, black, Mexican, and white, got me back out because they said that the staff officer had put his hand on me and touched me. And as soon as he touched me, I hit him. And I didn't beat him when he got on the ground. And so they let me back out. And when they let me out, now I've been here for 6 months. When I first got there, I had only been there maybe a couple of weeks. And the only person that I spoke to was your bus buddy. When you're on a TDC bus, you're chained to somebody. One guy handcuffed to him. Well, that guy, we went to the same yard together. We got off. We went to the same building together, the whole 9 yards. Well, one night, and no one's talking to us. Like the other white guys, no one's messing with us. They want to see what you're going to do first, right? And so it's rec time. And then we go up to, it's at nighttime. We go up to the guards, and I'm like, hey man, you gonna let the door in? And the guard looks at me and goes, you don't want to go outside? I go, yeah, I'm going to rec. He goes, you don't want to go out there? Young and stupid, not paying attention, nothing, not understanding what's going on. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, man, I'm going out there, So me and my guy, his name was Mayo. He had some kind of mayonnaise name or whatever, but we called him Mayo. And he's like, come on, we go out there. And we go out to the rec yard. I'm still not figuring it out. And I go to the basketball court, and I look around, and all the white guys and Mexicans are over there. All the black people are over there. And me and my buddy, we're in the middle of them. And I look around and go, oh, we got to go. So we walk all the way around over there, and it pops off. Boom, major riot. I've been here like a week, man. Major riot. Got the yard for 9 hours. They called the emergency response team. It is bad. They suitcased us butt naked. And there's people that were there that know what I'm talking about. They suitcased us butt naked on the rec yard. They took the scissors, cut all our clothes off, took flex cuffed us and suitcased us and left us like that on the yard. Took us back to the buildings, put us in cells 5 to 6 deep like that. Flex cuffed like that. Came through and processed us, put us in cells, random cells. Wasn't even our cell. I went into somebody else's cell. Put us in a cell. They put me in a cell with a dude named Spanky from El Paso, Texas. Didn't speak absolutely no English. Put me in there. This dude's in there, and then they come with the Johnny sacks. Johnny sacks or the lockdown bags that they give you, And so the field bosses are pushing around these carts, and they're passing out these sacks. Well, they ran out of sacks, and then when they came back, they started on this cell. They skipped my cell, so I beat on the thing, and I'm a kid, man. I'm 25 years old. I say, hey man, you missed me. The guy's like, you ain't getting nothing. I'm like, okay. And so I look at the Spanky, the Mexican dude from El Paso, and he goes, I swear he didn't speak no English. And all he said was, burn it. It's like, burn it. All right, I'm young. I'm like, burn it. All right. So we get the little razor blades. I put all this stuff in a pile by the door. It's other people's stuff, whoever cell it was. I put the stuff by the door, and I take the little razor blade and a pencil, and I start a fire, and I put it on there, and I start a fire in the cell. Well, it's just smoldering. It's not really burning like burning. I figured out later, people tie their sheets on the door and then they burn it up or whatever. But so it's just kind of smoldering. Well, they had these nylon green, and everybody knows these jackets. They had these nylon green, like bomber jackets, right? And I put that jacket on that fire, man. And we almost died in there. Yeah, we almost died because that thing hit the fire, and when it caught on fire, it sends these, like this stuff, this soot in the air, and it was bad, right? And I was praying for them to come put the fire out by this time, right? Because there's no air. They have these little bitty windows, right? And so we're, sucking air. So the cops come, and they got these water hoses on the side of the wall, and they pop it, and it's like the Rocky movie, where the First Blood or where Rambo, when he's in the thing, first shot, they hit the door, and it hit underneath the door, and it threw everything was there all over the walls, right? Everywhere, right? They open the door and they just blast us, man. I mean, they're, messing with us. But anyways, they come in, they take everything out. When they left, me and Spanky were sitting on steel bunks, wet boxers. And it was me, him, wet boxers, and nothing else in the cell. They throw us 2 Johnny sacks, give us our food, and say, don't burn anything else. That was my first week in TDC. I spent the next 6 months on lockdown in this cell, dying of heat, because this was in South Texas, dying of heat stroke. And I'll never forget, because they have like a step down situation where, okay, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, after riots or stuff like that, they'll give you privileges back. And I remember one of the phases, they were letting us go get our first hot meal. And we've been eating Johnny Sacks. And Johnny Sacks were like, the breakfast would be like 2 biscuits. The lunch would be like a peanut butter jelly sandwich and a bologna sandwich, 5 prunes, because they want to keep you regular. And you can eat the prune seed. So you can take the prune seed, crack it, and there's a seed inside the seed, and you can eat that. We were starving to death in this place, right? And a cookie, I think, was the other thing, or an apple or something like that. But I remember we go eat that first hot meal, and I remember sitting there, and the greens were good, and everything was good. And I was like, oh my God, I'm starving. And I remember someone say about kicking it off or something. Man, I was like, whoa, dude, no way. We're gonna eat. And I was adamant. I was like, hey, we're eating. Nothing's kicking off. We're gonna eat first because this is ridiculous, man. And so they did all that. We get off, and then I assault the cop. So all this is happening within like the first 7 months I'm in TDC. I assault the cop. They put me in there. Then they send me to closed custody. Closed custody is a line class. In TDC, they have SATs 1, 2, 3, 4, and they have line class 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, so line class is a lower level. You have less privileges. And I was in the closed custody where they put gang members and stuff. I wasn't a gang member, right? But because I assaulted the cop, they put me in closed custody. I go to closed custody. As soon as I walk in, there's a white dude in my face. Where are you from? And he's got lightning bolts on his hand. And I go, I'm from Cloverleaf. And everybody in Texas know, Houston area, they know about Cloverleaf. I'm like, I'm from Cloverleaf. He goes, oh yeah? He goes, you know this dude? I go, yeah, I know that dude. And he goes, that's me. He's my freaking homeboy. I was like, I've been suffering here. I've been struggling pretty hard. And this has not been an easy time for me. And I'm like, dude, why didn't you say something? You've been here this whole time? And he was like, oh, no, man. No. We're going to see how you're going to act. And I was like, oh, man, that's so crazy. And he was a gang member. And he's from my neighborhood. And I didn't know no gang members. I was just doing my own time, And, I'm a big dude, and I didn't have any trouble, No one really, I didn't get pressured or, somebody trying to get my commissary or another, And he's like, yeah, this gang, and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know, it's not really my thing, I got your back. And they're pressuring me, man, come on, bro, these black dudes are taking, door knocking, going in a cell, pressuring dudes, taking their stuff, whatever, But they were only doing it to the ones they could get away with it. They weren't doing it to the peckerwoods. And so I'm like, dude, that's none of my business. That's them dudes' business. I'm doing my time. Dude's like, no. My homeboy's like, no, I can't do that. So eventually, I let these dudes convince me to become a gang member. And I did, man. And, I did so for reasons that I believe were good. I believed that we were defenders and protectors of our people. And it was almost like the military, And I did it. And when I left TDC and I went to the feds, I was like, man, I'm glad that's over. I thought I'd never see them people again. Really did. I thought it's like a street thing, because I was in a little street deal, when I was a kid, and I thought kind of equated it to that, and get to feds and go to the feds, and no one even knows them guys, never heard of them, Obviously, DWBs were the gangs and the feds.
Dirty white boys.
Yeah, dirty white boys. That's the only anybody ever heard. When I first came to the feds, it was like the predominant.
And what year is this?
This was, I came to TD. Oh, I left. The feds came and picked me up out of TDC in '97. So I was in the feds in '97. Was my first year, and I'm tatted up, and I have a bunch of gang tattoos and stuff, and so people are like, oh yeah, and it's like, yeah, it's this thing, whatever. So the federal government took a charge that used to be a state charge, which is possession of a weapon, and made it fed. So all those guys, sorry about that. All those guys came to the feds. And so here they come. And I was like, dang, man. And I realized pretty quickly that other people were going to be making decisions for me, and that wasn't a good thing. I'd already established myself in the feds. People knew me. They didn't know about the gang stuff. They knew me. And I quickly understood that I needed to take control of the situation. The yards that I was walking, people respected me as DJ, not the gang thing, And some of them had even had bad experiences with the same group. and didn't like them, didn't respect them, but they knew me and respected me. And there's been many instances where guys that were in my gang were extended certain courtesies because of me, you know. And I quickly understood that this needed to be done, and I did, and started to kind of like bring everything together. And you know, as I sit here today, I look back and I've often looked at the way I did my time and the things I've done. I mean, you know, you start getting a certain age, you start looking back and it's like, man, did I do this right? Did I do that right? Did I shit bag anybody? Did I do anybody dirty? You know what I mean? No. No one will ever come on here or post on here that I ever did them dirty. I try to stand up for my people. I never pressured any of them. None of them ever paid protection. None of them paid up. Never. Our members paid, but regular white guys didn't pay us protection. We had gambling tables and different things like that we made our money from, but never nothing like that. I didn't like it because it always made me. I don't like the AB dudes, and I don't like gang members. Let's put that out there. I think gangs are basically a tool that the federal government and the Bureau of Prisons use to run the systems and to make things easy for them. They allow the gangs to exist. They would not exist if the Bureau of Prisons didn't want them to, but they want them to because they control the yards. It's easier for them to manipulate the gang members and the gang leaders into getting them to do what they want. And so the whole idea about gangs is that there's a philosophy that goes with the gang. The philosophy is usually based on racial ideology, but it's never really practiced other than you're hanging out with white guys. No one's trying to educate themselves. No one's trying to further themselves. No one's trying to further you, the white guy. Well, that's what you're claiming. You're claiming you're about the Aryan race, you're about the white people. But what are you? When I got out of prison, hey man, people were handing me drugs and guns, not a job. I'm looking around like, there ain't a job. You can give me the dope, you can give me the guns, you can't give me a job. Why are you people not working? Why are you people not have jobs? I did 23 years, and the first thing you want to give me is a bag of dope. That's how you're looking out for your people. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? And so it was all a lie. It was all drag. And I listen, I get phone calls to this day of dudes crying, asking me what happened because they had put themselves out there for this belief system and this thing, and it didn't become what they thought it was going to be, you know? And I felt bad about it because I'm the one that convinced them to do it. I was the one that convinced them to come on to the side, you know? And it's been nothing but destructive. All it did for me was cause me pain and anguish. The same people that were allowed to survive and do their time in prison because of my name and because of me were the same people that were trying to kill me, to set me up, to freaking, you know, there was no love and no, you know, brotherhood and all that. That's all bullshit, man. It's just all a lie. You know what I mean? And so like when I hear people and, you know, and I got buddies that are, you know, and I consider myself an ex-gang member. I didn't get X'd out. I just decided that, you know, this is stupid. I mean, this is ridiculous. You know, it doesn't have the same meaning than which I originally thought it had. And I was a big proponent for that. You know, I used to teach classes on white history. I used to teach classes on paganism, which I do all believe in all that stuff. But I also utilize it in my life. I don't just fake with it and act like it. You know, I try to perpetuate the belief system that I have into other people and get them to be better people. Not to drag them down and to try to manipulate them or get them to sell some dope over here or something like that. You know, I want you to be better. I want you to be bigger. I want you to be you know, to advance yourself. Anything that's calling you to do anything other than that is not for you. It's against you. And the gangs, it's all it is. Because that's what when you get out, that's all they want you to do. They want you to, they want you to do their bidding. They want you to do what the drugs or the partying or anything of that nature, but nothing about, let's get your kids together. Let's get your family together. Let's put some money in a pot and try to help out this person who's struggling. Those are all good things. And there, it's just a manipulation game. It's all. I have a big problem with the gangs, man. Nowadays, as I look back on it, it angers me because people like you, prison should be a place of healing and correcting behaviors. It should be facilitated and propped up by the government who sent you there. That's their obligation to you. When they sentenced you to that time, they took on an obligation to you to rehabilitate you, to make you a better citizen when you come out. If you allow gangs to control the prisons, and they do, then that's not happening. The government's failing in their jobs. The Bureau of Prisons failing in their jobs. They're not helping you facilitate bettering yourself. You don't have the programs in place to get you to tell. When I got out here, man, I didn't have nothing. Nothing. They didn't give me a freaking dollar. Nothing. They told me you're free. I mean, just like that. They just opened the door, and I got out early. I got out 7 years early, and they literally just opened the door and said, "Go." No systems. When I went in front of the court, and all my file and I know people, I've seen some of these guys that have gotten on here, and, I have all my paperwork. All my paperwork's on file. So when I went before the court to get resentenced, because I have a Johnson case. Johnson changed a lot of things for a lot of people in the feds, let a lot of people go. And when I went in front of the judge, they resentenced me to 8 years. I did 23. So as soon as he said 8 years, I was like, wow. And it's on, and you can Google my name, it'll come up in the court case. I stood up in court and I said, Judge, where's my reparations? What are you gonna do for me? Because I got 11 years over 11 years over time done. And he goes, you know what, Mr. Walsh? He goes, you're right, we do need to do something for you. We're gonna put you on 3 years supervised release, ankle monitor, intense supervision, drug test, made me see a psychiatrist 2 times a month and a counselor 4 times a month. And he said, that's how we're going to support you and help you in your endeavors. That was their help. That was their help. And then they told me, you don't have to do it. You have, and this is in court files, I have 11 years good time on the books. Can you imagine? And the court this is court documents. The government got up and goes, what does this mean? Does this mean that he can break the law? And as long as the guidelines is underneath the time that he has, he gets out a free jail card? And the judge said, yes. And this is an open court, believe it or not. And everybody can Google it, look it up. And the judge goes, I've never heard anything like this before, So they told me, they go, oh, you don't want to do the probation or the deal? You don't have to. Violate. Go back to the county jail for a couple months and you'll get out scot-free. And I told him, I'm not never, ever going back to jail. Not even for a couple months. I just did 23 years. You want me to walk back in that place? Fuck no, dude. No way. So I got in my car and I left. I went to the probation officer. We walked in his office and he looked at me and he goes, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with you. And he goes, I said, well, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go see that car out there. I'm fixing to get in it. I'm going to drive to Oklahoma. And the guy goes, Oklahoma? I go, yep. My thought was, none of them homeboys are there. It'd just be me. And so I got in a car. He goes, well, call me every Tuesday.
I'll be honest, over the past year, my fitness journey has been a little bit of a struggle. Sometimes I fell off the bandwagon, didn't eat right, ate fast food, didn't eat clean, and felt like crap most of the time. But for the last couple months, I've been dialed in and started using Factor meals. Factor makes chef-crafted, dietitian-designed, ready-to-eat meals so you don't have to choose between real food and convenience. Factor meals are ready in just 2 minutes and require no prep and no cleanup, so even on the days your schedule is completely out of control, eating well is still achievable. Mondays are my favorite day of the week because that's when we get Factor delivered straight to the Locked In with Ian Bick studio, where all my guests and my employees, me included, get to enjoy Factor meals throughout the week. I have some of my personal favorites right here. This is the homestyle herb chicken. I eat this probably 5 times a week for lunch. They got cold pressed juices, They got smoothies with caffeine in them, so that way you can skip the energy drinks. I've been loving these keto chocolate chip cookies. If you have a sweet tooth like me, but want to stay away from the desserts, these are a perfect option, and they taste better than regular cookies. We got our overnight oats, we got our blueberry superfood bar, and one of my personal favorites, the chocolate peanut butter bar. Packed with protein, great snack either before my interviews or before I hit the gym. Absolutely to die for. Let's eat real. Head to factormeals.com/lockedin50off and use code LOCKEDIN50off to get 50% off and one free breakfast item per box for 1 year while supplies last until October 31st, 2026. That's code LOCKEDIN50off at factormeals.com/lockedin50off at factormeals.com. See website for more details. And remember guys, I will never promote something to you that I don't personally use. You see me talking about Factor every day on my social media. Go try it today.
So I called him every Tuesday. Hey man, I thought I was doing good. 3 months, I'm in Oklahoma. I got no probation, nobody bothering me. I'm living it up. 3 months later, and they're mad about it. They come to the door. What are you doing here? Why are you in Oklahoma? You're trying to recruit. You're doing this, you're doing that. I'm like, man, I'm not doing none of that. Well, you got to go down here. So I go to the courthouse. I go to the probation office, the downtown federal building. I go in there. They set me down. They look at me and they go, you're going to have to do this. And I'm just going, no problem. Well, this, that, and other. No problem. None. I got this. Are you sure? I got this, man. Okay. So they put the ankle monitor on out. Come to find out that they had the team in the office next door waiting for me to buck. Because they thought I was going to go, fuck this, and just go off based on my record. So they were already suited and booted, waited. And they're waiting. I got told this later by my probation officer that, yeah, they were geared up waiting. And you were just sitting there going, and people would come by because they'd heard all the stories and they'd seen the file. So when they heard me speak, they thought, is this that guy? The guy that can't be the guy, you know? And so I seen one of them look in and look and see me. I look back and see him like, yeah. I'm like, wow, this is not what we expected. You know, and my probation officer, he was a really good guy. He was a really young guy. And then you seen my ex-wife, she was living with me, and they come in and they take her into another room, and they leave. And she goes, you know what they told me? I said, no. She goes, they asked me if I was okay. They said, do you know who he is? Do you know what he's done? This is my girl now. I mean, I'm trying to live a different life. I'm out here, you know, and they're like, just put me on blast, man. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, I was upset for a long time behind that, you know, because I'm changing my life, man. You know what I mean? Like, you have no right to do that. You know, did she know about me? Yeah, she knew a little bit. You know, I told her some stuff about me, but I didn't think it was all her business to go into my personal details and stuff. You know, you decided to divulge that, you know, and so getting out after all that time. And the craziest story I'll say is this. You know, 23 years, you know, I get out and I'm doing all the wrong things. And I go into a bathroom, convenience store bathroom. It was the first week. And I go in there and I will wash my hands. I go up to the sink, put the soap on, go up to the sink and I go, uh-oh. There's no knobs. I went to jail a long time ago. There's no knobs. So I remember a Kohler commercial where they touched the top of it. So I'm like, I'm touching it. I'm like, oh, this is fucking ridiculous. I can't even wash my hands. So I step back and I'm looking at I'm staring at them now. I'm going, man, how does this work, man? And so a guy comes up, sticks his hands up, and they come on. I go, what the fuck? I stick them underneath there. I go, this is amazing, man. That's how difficult it was. Can't even wash your fucking hands. I can't use a phone. I don't know how to operate a freaking phone. I ain't seen a computer. I mean, you know, this stuff is foreign to me. Any technology. I mean, to this day, I mean, I most of my work's done on a laptop, but it's still kind of, you know, it's not easy, you know. But I got out and I'm like, yeah, and I'm looking around and I'm telling myself, this is going to be hard, man. This is going to be really difficult because I don't know how to do anything, man. You know what I mean? I try to get a place to live and I don't have any rental history. And I went in when I was a kid, I'm an old man now, and people are looking at me like, where have you been? Get job application. What do you put on a job application? 23 years in prison. You know what I mean?
You put the kitchen.
Yeah.
You say you worked at a restaurant.
Yeah. But I didn't. I was always in the shoe, So I was like, I got a tire job and at this tire company, and I threatened the boss, and I got fired. And then the first job that I had was Postmates. I was delivering food because it was the only job I could get, for criminal history, And then I get a good job, and with the state, I worked for the Department of Mental Health and Department of Health. I started off as a $13 an hour custodial worker. I was supposed to be a warehouse worker, but the custodial worker died like 2 days before I got the job. And they go, well, you're cleaning toilets. I just had a baby, and I was like, I'll do whatever I have to do, So I cleaned toilets and quickly got promoted and promoted and promoted and promoted and promoted, and then transferred and became material management officer in control of millions in assets. They didn't even know I'd been in prison. And I'm the guy who's all this millions are coming to me, and I'm in control of all this stuff, right? And I'm wearing dress shirts, slacks, loafers behind a desk, and I'm living in another world, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm feeling good about myself. I'm like, man, I did this, man. Good state job, man. Whoa. And I take a business trip with my direct supervisor, who was a female. None of these people know I've been in prison, right? And I got a 3-button polo on, right? I'm driving, and I go to turn. When I do, my sleeve comes up, and they've seen these tattoos across my arm. And I go, and I kind of, I see her look at me. I don't say nothing. She don't say anything. Next thing I know, I get called up to the Attorney General's office, investigator, and says, Mr. Walsh, he's looking at me. He goes, and I have a dress shirt on. He goes, we got this thing about these tattoos, this, that, and other. I go, tattoos? What are you talking about, man? He's like, yeah, they said that you. I said, man, I'm not. You want me to take my shirt off for you? I said, man, I'm not taking my shirt off for you, dude. Well, you don't want to let us know. I said, no, it's none of your business what kind of tattoos I got. It has nothing to do with my job. So he's like, okay, whatever, So I leave. So I go straight to HR, and I ask the HR department. I go, hey, man, what's your policy? I want to see the policies. So I get the policies. I read through them. No tattoo policy. I said, okay, you know anything about this? No, HR, no, I don't know. Cool. I leave. Boom, get called to my supervisor. She fires me on the spot. That's a state job. You can't just fire you, I'm like, okay, no problem. What's it for? I look at it. It says threat to the workplace. For what? I fight it all the way. I go to EEOC, which is a division that takes care of this kind of thing. I fight them all the way. They don't want to do business. We go to mediation. They don't want to do business. Go all the way through it. EEOC gives me the approval to sue. They say they were wrong. Wrongful termination, because I got unemployment. They gave me my unemployment and everything because I was wrongfully terminated. They do all that. So EEOC decides they're not going to pick the case up, which they do. But they decide they're not going to pick my case up. I'm like, okay, cool. I call every freaking lawyer in Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas. This is how far I would get with them. Yeah. EEOC, they gave you the right to sue. Yes, I got my thing to sue. Everything's good. Well, what was the case for? I got fired for a tattoo. You got fired for a tattoo? What's the tattoo? I would tell them what the tattoo was, and they would, oh yeah, well, sorry, we don't handle those cases. No action. So losing my job changed that job was everything to me. That's what felons do too. Felons do that. They're the hardest workers you'll get. They'll the good ones, You know, they'll come out and work for you like no one's ever worked for you before. And I love that job, man. That job was my world. I mean, it was my career. It was validation. It was validation. It was like, I did it. Here I am. I've succeeded. I've made it out of the hellhole alive. Here I am. I'm a state worker. I mean, I understand most people go, oh, a state job ain't nothing. But it was to me. You know, I'm behind a desk, working on a computer, but I got it going on. And to be fired like that because of the tattoos and because of my past, it really I started mowing grass. I started doing all these side jobs. It really was the destruction of my marriage. You know what I mean? Because I took it hard, you know what I mean? And it's hard to get a job. It really, I know people say, oh, there's jobs. Yeah, there is. But man, if you got that strike against you, man, it makes it that much harder, you know? And so eventually all that stuff happened and I wound up going back to school, you know, went to school, you know, started getting certifications, licenses, and life is good now. But it didn't, in the beginning, you know, I kind of really thought, and that's the thing I think about a lot is like, how can someone do so much time and get out and then go right back doing the same thing he was doing? What causes that? The only thing that I could come up with in my mind is that you just don't love yourself. You know, you got to love yourself, man. You know, and I didn't love myself. I did not love myself because if I loved myself, that would have been the last place that I was going to want to be. But it took the birth of my kids, you know, to look at it and go, that's not you anymore. You know, you're a different person now. That's not that life and the things that you did in there and everything is over, you know. And I tell people about like the Rocky movie, the First Blood or whatever, when he's at the end of the movie, his general comes in there and says, it's over. And Rocky says that the whole thing is never over. That's it. It's never over. It stays with you. It's like it sticks with you. And it's like your behavior, your actions, and the way you take in information from people, it's all jaded by that prison sentence. It's all jaded by those things that you've seen. You know, people, I had to be told that people don't mean it the way you do. You know, people flip you off in the car. You know, I'm going to chase you. You know, I'm trying to pull over, you know what I mean? And fight. And my ex-wife would tell me all the time, they don't mean it the same way. You are looking at it completely different than they're looking at it. You need to readjust. You have to get societal rules and, you know, realize that now this is you and not carry that. That's what we all do. You know, you do it. I know that you do it. There's things that you do with inside your daily activity that is jail related, whether it be the way you sit at the table. And I will say one other thing about that. Let me explain something about that. Let's be very clear. If you're from Texas, okay, diagnostics is transfer center. Everybody goes to that or Goree when they go to their farms. When you go to TDC, you go to diagnostics. When you walk in the chow hall, there's tables and the guards you're in line. You sit at each table as you come in line, right? And then they go down this row and they go back down this row. As they go back down this row, as they pass that table that's been sitting there, the guards knock on it, not the inmates. The guards knock. That means everybody get your plates and get up out of there. That's where it started from. I don't know, disrespect. That's later. Like the feds, all the peckerwoods hit it and go. But in the beginning, how it started, from the very first time I ever saw it, was the guards telling you to get your ass up out of there. So that I wanted to say something about that because I heard people talking about that. And I was like, you know, that's not the truth. But yeah, it comes from TDC is where that comes from.
And then it would later evolve into the feds.
The wood thing, yeah. I mean, because we did it in the feds, you know.
Now, when you first got to the feds, why didn't you join another white gang? Did anyone approach you at all?
Yeah, but I didn't need to, you know. I mean, at the time, I was a big dude, you know what I mean? I was a tough kid. You know, I really didn't and I didn't. I don't know. I wasn't interested. And then when the other homeboys came, I just was like, I mean, it is what it is. You're trapped in, you know what I mean? You're kind of stuck by it, The wisest decision, the choice a young man can make going into prison is be respectful, I heard your story, and you spoke about, the way your sentence went down and the way your time went down. Unfortunately, that's circumstances for a lot of people. The other misconception I wanted to address as well was that, white guys in prison get a bad rap. There's this misconception that we're all like vulnerable victims or can be victimized. And that comes from ignorance on both parts. If I look at you and assume that you're a certain way because you're a certain color, that's ignorance. That's just racism, That's me projecting these racisms on you, which we all, on some fundamental level, understand that the skin color does not dictate the man or his actions or whatever, So in TDC, a lot of these people, like myself, let's put it this way. When I went to TDC, I'd never been around black people before. I never knew any. Where I'm from, there are none. They live in the hood. They live in their neighborhoods. We lived in these housing developments, but they lived in their little projects. When you go to TDC, everybody's coming out of these different neighborhoods. These black guys had never seen a white guy before on TV or something. Never been around none of them. They would have these wild misconceptions that we were all rode horses or something, and that we all had money. We're all rich. And we had it easy too. Oh yeah, we had it. It was all easy for you because you're a white guy. You know what I mean? They say that just not knowing, because they've never been around it, and it's only what they hear. It's the way that they're being told that, that's how white people are. They're like, or whatever they see on TV, they're like, oh, that's how white people live. Man, I'm from the freaking hood. I mean, we were poor. You know what I mean? We didn't have shit, man. You know what I'm saying? And I was and as far as being soft, man, we weren't like that. You know what I'm saying? And if you ask a lot of honest people in the feds, man, you didn't want to mess with a white guy, dude. You're in the max and depends. You're gonna get stabbed, and that's the real. And really, and we were outnumbered, obviously. You know what I mean? Why did we make it? Why? Because they knew we were gonna stab them. They knew we all carried knives. I carried. I always had a knife. Everybody around me had a knife, and we were ready to use them. You know what I mean? Because we're not gonna get victimized here. You know what I'm saying? And we carried a lot of respect. There'll be people. I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you one story, and I don't like to tell war stories. I told myself I wasn't going to tell a lot of war stories here because I want to talk about redemption. Change is possible. What you think today will not necessarily be true tomorrow. So you cannot invest all into that one thing that's happening in the moment and not in projecting into a future, invest into that. Let it overwhelm you. The problems of the day or your situation, the way you're looking at it. You can open up a book today and it'll read one thing, and open a book tomorrow and it'll say something different just because of your perspective. So people will be down, they'll come out here, they'll get out of prison, and they're like, my life is not going to change. It's going to be in this certain situation, circumstances. So they make decisions based off of that. Well, how are you making a decision based off of that when it's evolving? It's always changing. Don't give up. If you want something, if you want to succeed and you want to be successful at whatever it is, what are you doing to make that happen? Are you just sitting there expecting it to happen? Or are you applying yourself and you're doing, what moves have you made today to make that future possible? A lot of these guys get out, they were like me. I didn't think that I could be a citizen. I didn't think this opportunity was available to me. If someone had set me down and was like, hey man, you can be a citizen. This is a real world for you. Man, I would have embraced that. How many other dudes are like that? How many other guys get out of prison and have lived a certain existence when they went in don't know what's available to them out here as far as you can do whatever you want. You can have the life you want, but you got to earn it. You got to work for it. You got to let that stuff go. You got to let the past go. But that's the main characteristic. I mean, the main story of this whole thing for me is talking about that. But I want to say about the black-white interaction, because I know you know about the pens, and it's not allowed. You can't talk to them. You can't eat with them. You can't sit with them. You can't live with them. You are not supposed to be associating with them, right? I did because I could. But I went to a prison, and I walked into the block, and this is what it means to be white or be someone who is what we call frontlining. I walk into the block, brand new. I just get there that day. I walk in, and it was a soft yard for a penitentiary. But anyways, I go in, I walk in, and as soon as I look, I see all the TVs. I don't see not one white TV. That's a problem. I see one down here with a white guy and some black guys, and I'm like, it's a problem. So I go into my cell, and my cellie, never a good sign when a white guy's in his bunk reading a book during the day with his shoes off. That tells you he ain't on point. He don't want no trouble. That's that, right? So I look at him, I go, hey man, where's the white TV? I don't even know his name. I throw my mat down, I look at the dude, goes, where's the white TV? The dude goes, your homeboy sold it for dope. Oh, that's great. Now that's a really bad situation. So I'm like, that figures. So I go, you got a knife? He goes, no. I go, it's getting better and better. I walk out, straight out the range, walk down, walk down to the TV, boo, 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 bing, bing, country music videos. And they were mad about it. Let me tell you, hey, dudes started coming out of the doors, they were pissed. DC blacks, and a lot of them, and they're upset. So they come running out and everything. I ain't even got a knife. They don't know that. They think I got a knife. So they come out there and they're hoorah and woo 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 and woo wah and everything. So there's a guy that everybody knows. His name's Wendell. They called him Big Dog. He was the shot caller for the DCs. Oh, Wendell, and everybody, and a lot of people know Wendell. Big Dog. So Big Dog come out, and this guy was, I don't know, 6'4", 280, 290, big dude, man, you know. He opens the door and he goes, hey, Wood, let me holler at you. Like, here we go, you know, let's do this, you know. So I walk over there. You're not supposed to go in their cell. You're not supposed to go in the cell. You're not supposed to go in the cell. Never go in the cell. I went in the cell, and the guy looked at me and goes, you got that coming. He goes, that's your TV. He goes, I'm not going to stand up for nobody else. He goes, but you stood up for that, that's yours. He opened the door and goes, that's his TV. And that was it. So as stupid as I was, and as tough as I was, and as much backup as I had, I wouldn't have made it if it wasn't for certain other races. I wouldn't have made it because they outnumber you. You know, if the black dude, if he didn't back my play, they'd have killed me, no doubt. I had no wind. I wasn't gonna win. So he because of him, and it wasn't just him. There was other instances. There was other black dudes who stood up for me, who stepped up when I threw myself out there, and they were like, you know, and they stood up for me, man. They were like, no, he's got that coming. You know what I mean? Mexican, same way. Hey, man, he's got that coming. So we had a really good relationship. I had a really solid relationship with a lot of black dudes, Crips, Bloods, a lot of Mexican dudes, a lot of gang members. I had a lot of respect, and a lot of them know me, and I got along really good. And honestly, there's probably multiple times I don't even know about that people were going to kill me, and it didn't go through because of other races.
How did the Woods get along with the Aryans or other white gangs?
Pretty much, like, I personally, okay, look, the AB dudes are trash, in my opinion. They're dope fiend scumbags who prey on their own people. Most of the gangs are that way. Most white gangs are scumbag preying on other whites, making them pay protection and fricking just dirt bagging them, making their time tough. You know, these are not men building other men. These are men preying on other men. These are predators. You know what I mean? And so I don't like bullies. I've never liked them, you know? And so like for me, and I'm in the system, I am known to hate a certain specific group a lot. You know what I mean? And they all know it, you know? And so, you know, for me, I typically didn't get along. I didn't typically get along with anybody, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, I didn't have very many friends. I didn't think that was a place to make friends. I mean, you know, to be honest with you, I mean, Johnny, you know, we you know, I know some other groups guys that belong to other groups that I associated with, but most of the guys that I had friends with were just independent white guys, just regular old white convicts. Most of my friends were that. Most of my friends, I have a couple of friends that are gang members or ex-gang members, but most of I got criticized a lot because I've got good friends to this day that are black dudes that I did time with. I was at I was in a lot of prisons. All the crazy prisons you heard about, I was in all those. Florence, USP, Big Sandy, Pollock, Louisiana, all those. I was in Lee County, frickin', the gang unit, Lewisburg Smooth Program, frickin' Canaan, USP Canaan, frickin' just a bunch of them, right? And I was at Big Sandy, which Big Sandy, it's a popping little spot, you know what I'm saying? A lot of stuff going on. Then I was at, where was that one, that was, where was I at with the black dude? He was a black mafia, Face is his name. Little dude from Missouri. It was Big Sandy. Yeah, it was Big Sandy. So in Big Sandy, in every penitentiary yard, the whites have a TV, the black have, you know, like that, you know. So the whites' TV was right here. In the dirty South, which is, you know, Florida and all them dudes, they were right here. And I'm sitting there, and your chair takes up 4 squares. One chair, 4 squares. That's your 4 square, right? So my 4 square, everybody knew where my chair was the very back in the corner. Set my chair there. So a new black guy comes in, and nobody sat around me. I was a miserable bastard. No one liked me, you know what I mean? I was a miserable dude, right? And so this black dude sits down right next to me. So there's 2 squares, because there's a hallway, and there's 2 squares that separate us. And he sets his chair right there, and I kind of look at him, I'm like, all right, whatever. Don't say nothing. I think about maybe a day goes by, and I'm sitting there, and a black kid comes across the chairs and cuts through the chairs. That's a no right there. I mean, you get killed for that, you know? And so I stand up because he cut through my chairs, the white area, right? So I stood up, and as soon as I go to stand up, this dude never said a word to me. Goes, I got that. And this dude's Face is about, I don't want to be mean. I'm going to say let's be nice and say he's 5'7", 5'8", which I think that's stretching. He's a little guy. But a dangerous dude. Gets up, walks in and follows this big kid. Opens the door, goes right in there with him. Next thing I know, the kid comes out and comes to me and goes, hey, man, I apologize. I'm so sorry. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to cut the chairs. I'm sorry, you know, whoa. And the dude leaves. Me and this guy, I broke bread with this guy, which is a no-no. You know, I've eaten with this guy. No one was going to say anything to me because they were punk-ass motherfuckers. But me and him's buddy, to this day, he calls me from prison still. This is my guy. He's my friend. And we did a lot of time together. This is my guy, right? He's a black dude. And so most people, they assume they see people like me in prison. They hear about the stories about in prison, la, 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 la. You know, and I know, prison has its own economy, okay? Now, you know, and I know, everybody wants that money to keep flowing, right? So don't you think that the people who are controlling the vibe, that we don't talk, that we're not doing business together? I mean, we all did business together. We're doing business. We're making money. You know what I'm saying? You know how many people, you know how much money I got? I had a bank account when I got out. You know what I mean? Because I made money in there. You're making money. If you're a Mexican dude, you think I'm not going to mess with you because you're a Mexican dude?
You'd have no customers.
You might have the drugs, or you might have what I need. You can't be, I'm just all white. It's going to be all white. Come on, man. You're in prison. You think that's not the reality. Now, it's a reality for a lot of people, obviously. But like when you get to a certain, you know, shot callers and the people are making decisions and stuff, man, we all do business together, man. We all know each other. I mean, we're doing business in the streets, a lot of us, together. black dudes, white guys, Mexicans. You know what I mean? So like, that's not even true. But again, and that's what's so important about all this is everybody's time is different. You and I can go in the same block together, and your time won't be like my time. I mean, it's just the way it is. And I dictated a lot of my time. I mean, I did time. I did time away. I did time in which a way that I should not have been allowed to do it. I had privileges that I shouldn't have had. I was treated a certain way, and I don't think that it's right. I think that everybody should be treated the same.
How did you get to that point? Going into the federal system.
Stupid. I told you that before. When I tell you, Ian, and people will tell you, yeah. I had this weird, and I'm not a tough guy. I'll say that again. But so let's say, for instance, if you and I were walking down the yard and you bumped into me, and it got whatever happened, I went to my cell. My mind would not allow me to sleep until I took care of it. I would grit on it. I would sit and pace and just until I checked you, until I made sure you understood that. You know what I mean? And so that's how I did it. That's how I did my whole sentence was derived from just, the precedent, setting the precedent. Just being, and listen, I ain't even been stabbed before, which is amazing considering that I was a shot caller at these max yards and I never got stabbed. I never got stabbed because I treat everybody respectfully. Every man gets respect from me. I don't care what color you are. You get respect. I'm not gonna let you run over me, but I'm gonna initially give you that respect and hope that you'll return it. So that's how, the power that, yeah, of course you gotta be a tough dude. Of course you gotta be able to fight. Of course there has to be a level of violence that you're gonna bring to the table. And I think that a lot of guys, and I had killers around me. I had killers around me. That gives you a lot of play too. And I think that look what you're dealing with. And most of the people that you interact with, and I can name a handful that were intellectually superior to me, a handful, but the majority of the people were very uneducated and easily manipulated and maneuvered. For people like me, yeah, I've read freaking Nietzsche and any kind of philosophy or psychology or freaking history book. I've read thousands of books, dude, thousands of books. I went from like a 5th grade education to, I'm a pretty educated dude now. I've read a lot of books. I've evolved a lot. And seg time and being in the shoe allowed me to do that, But a lot of those guys in there are guys that are, I don't want to sound, it sounds mean, but drugs is a motherfucker, man. It addles the brain, man. You know what I mean? So it didn't take a lot to be the guy. You know what I mean? I don't do drugs. I don't drink alcohol. I have a moral fiber. I have certain belief systems and I stick to it and I believe in it. And so, that pretty much gets you a lot. It gets you a long way in there. You know what I mean? Because other people see that conviction in you. I wasn't fucking nobody over, dude. I wasn't dirtbagging nobody. I wasn't, hey, give me a bag of coffee, punk. I wasn't doing that, dude. I didn't treat people that way. Now, was I friendly? No, I wasn't friendly, but I wasn't pressuring them, and every motherfucker knows that if something was to go down, I was there. I was right there. I got your back. I'm there. So, that was a lot to, and again, I really don't know. I really don't know the real answer for why, I would, a combination of everything, I think, I don't think that there was anything special about me, other than being just slightly more educated than everybody else and maybe being just a little bit meaner or something, But other than that, and just really wishing people, or another thing is like, I always try to keep people out of trouble. You know, I got some crash dummies around me, man. You know, they want to stab everything, you know what I'm saying? And just, you know, being that guy that's that voice is like, come on, man, we're not doing that. We're not doing that, you know what I'm saying? And I was one of those guys that, when I first went to the feds, everybody wanted to stab a black dude. Everybody was like, oh, get a black dude, you know? And in TDC, they used to have, the old school guys got these tattoos called bones. And the only way you could get your bones is to get on a black guy and stab him and try to kill him, right? I get to the feds, you know, and I'm hearing all these dudes, and you know, they got all these guys want to be down. Hey, I want to be down. I want to be down. I want to be, you know. And I was the guy that, and I am known for a couple of things. And one of them is, if you got a sex case, run and hide, because I'm going to find you and we're going to deal with you. And I made it that a point to where when guys would come up there to me complaining about a black dude did this, he's rapping or he's doing whatever, I go, that dude's a sex offender and he's white. You're going to overlook the sex offender white guy to look at the black dude who's just rapping? I don't think so. Get the sex offender. You know, so when dudes came to me and was like, hey, man, I want to be down. I want to be down. Okay, here's this. Go handle that. And then you'll be down. So I made it to the point to where even the guards would come to us and were like, they were cool with it. You know, we're getting sex offenders. We're getting child molesters, man. They were, hey, man, we're banging these dudes out and they're letting us right back out.
What about the ones like you were describing earlier where they're 18 and the person's 17?
Yeah.
What do you do with them?
You let them make it. I did.
You keep them?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Because, I mean, you can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's other cases. I have a good friend that's in Houston now. I mean, they wanted to kill him. I went to Florence, Colorado. I got there and they'd come to me and I was like, man, we're going to kill this dude. And I just got there and Florence was not a good spot. And I'm like, what are you going to kill him for? He's like, well, him and his brother was a member, and he had said something about his brother, and it was some, you know, these guys, I mean, it wasn't ratting, you know what I mean? It was his fucking brother, you know what I mean? And these dudes just wanted to stab something. They just want to kill something, right? And the kid's one of my best friends, you know, to this day. He's a successful businessman with a freaking awesome family. And he loves me. I'm sure he really loves me, you know what I mean? Because he knows that they wanted to kill him. And he tells me to this day, he's like, man, you know, thank you, you know what I mean? Because they were going to get him, you know, but it's boring in there. It's so boring. And people are looking for any type of activity. And a new dude gets in there, he's fresh meat, he's looking like a victim. And so people will do things like that. And I've seen it happen. I mean, you know, we've had guys, I mean, oh man, dude. I mean, I've seen some crazy things. I mean, I seen a guy, at Pollock, I seen a Muslim get there who was a ethnic Muslim. He was Arabic, you know, and they had a bunch of more Muslims there, you know, black Muslims, you know, and the ethnic Muslim got there and was like, you eat pork, you do this, you do that. This ain't no joke. They canoed him out. You know what a canoe is, right?
No, what is that?
A canoe is like the stretchers. You ever seen the ones that are on the wall?
Oh, yeah.
Those are we call them canoes because, you know, they kind of shape like a canoe. They canoed him out, but they did it in a blanket. So they just, you know, demolished this dude, put him in a blanket, and then each dude on each side carried the blanket, and they carried him up right across the yard in this blanket and dumped him right in front of the lieutenant's office. And like, hey, come get this dude. You know what I mean? Like, go on. Yeah.
But they'll do something like that over that, but then they'll protect sex offenders.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Why is that? It's
the craziest thing, man. And that's another thing about people don't realize. In the white guys, okay, so the differences in the races. A white guy comes into the federal prison at the max. He comes in there. He has a sex case. He will get dealt with harshly if he's white. Now, if he's black or even Hispanic, he gets a pass. The white guy comes in, gets caught with his dick in his hand. He will be slaughtered. They will butcher him. He will get done so dirty, dude. Black and Mexican does it, not a big deal. White guy can't get away with that kind of thing, you know, because we police it. We were big on that, you know what I mean? And so like there are now the Hispanics, the Mexicans, they are. I've often felt sorry for them, some of them, because you're like, man, God dang, them dudes got it tough, man. You know what I mean? Because they're on them dudes. Hey, them guys are. I mean, they get no breathing room, no break. You're a white guy, they'll give you some breathing room, man. Like white guys will be like, whatever, you know what I mean? But the Mexicans, they're like, oh no, bro, you're in. You know what I mean? You're in. You're a Mexican, you're in, you know? So I've always kind of felt kind of a little sympathy for them, you know, because of the way they do at time. But a white guy, man, it's a tough deal, man. It's especially if you're I won't say especially if you're and one other thing I want to say too, white boy is not a good thing, okay? If someone called a white boy, they're calling you a bitch, okay? I don't know how many times I've heard these dudes get on these podcasts, and it really pisses me off because I never let nobody call me white boy. I'm not a white boy. In prison, in TDC, they called you wood or peckerwood. They never called you white boy. If they called you white boy, I mean, they're fixed to fuck you. You know, so I hear people get on here and say the white boy, and I even see people have shirts and saying white boy and this and that. I'm like, man, no one ever called me that. That's like, think about it. You think do you think they're trying to be nice to you when they're calling you white boy? You think that's some kind of good moniker? It ain't. It ain't. It's a derogatory comment about you. And so you gonna call him black boy? You know,
they'd kill you over that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So like, I never allowed it. You know, they called me wood a lot, or peckerwood. And they even, it was funny because I remember one time I got in this conflict with this guy, and he called me a cracker. And he was like he thought that I was gonna be mad. And I was like, yeah, okay. All right, yeah, I guess I am kind of a cracker, I guess. You know what I mean? But like, for me, you know, and I'm all blasted out. So, you know, I got a guy hanging on my leg and white power across my back. And I think I have like 135 swastikas on my body. You know, and I take my shirt off, people get silent, you know what I mean? And so, you know, I got treated differently, you know, because of it, you know what I mean? And sometimes good, sometimes bad, you know.
What did that mean to you at the time when you got that all over your body?
Honestly, I was setting that precedent, man. You know, setting that precedent, you know. It meant that it was your initial conversation with me without talking to me, knowing who I was, what I was about. So it kept a lot of people away. All those fake ass dudes, like all the black dudes that were convicts, man, they loved it because they knew what came with it. I was going to take care of my business. I wasn't going to play no games. I was going to be about it. You know what I mean? And so it kind of like was that, you know, stay away from me deal. You know what I mean? And did I believe in the principles of it? Yes, I did. Yes, and I still do. You know, I mean, I still don't think there's anything wrong with being proud of who you are. You know, I don't admonish other people, or I'm not trying to hold anybody else down. I just, you know, I've read history. I think I'm pretty proud of it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see anything wrong with it, you know? And so for me, the swastika is not it's a Thor's hammer in motion. It means perpetual movement. If you look at it's a hammer. Each one of those little links is a hammer, and it's going clockwise, okay? So to me, that it meant self-improvement. It meant onward and upward. It means being better tomorrow than you were today. So that's the way I always looked at it. I approached it in that way, and I taught it in that way, that it was about being a better man, evolving. You know, nothing in nature stays stagnant. It's always growing, it's always moving, it's always going forward. And I believe that about ourselves. And then especially in there, you know what I mean? You see the guys will lay around and watch TV. I didn't watch TV. I had a TV, I made sure of that, but it stayed on History Channel or Discovery Channel. That's it. I didn't let them dudes watch, and listen, a lot of guys hated me. I wouldn't let them watch the dumb stuff, man. I talked trash, dude. Like, I was a big proponent, you know, because I always believed that it was my duty to teach, to be someone that was there to show the guys the way and lead by example. And you know, I felt like I did that. You know, that's why I quit drinking in prison, because of a riot that happened, and I wasn't going to be able to tell other people what to do if I was doing it myself. So I quit drinking. I was like, okay, no more drinking. And now you're not drinking either. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think it was more of that. I mean, I think it was like, I believed that it was a good thing. Now that I have them and I'm covered and I got kids and stuff and, I wish I didn't have them. I wish I didn't have them. And, I got them in a time in my life where I was a different person. You know what I mean? And there was a reflection of who I was at the time, but not who I am now. And so I have to live with it. You know what I mean? And then, it's something that I got to deal with. Can't go. I don't like to go places with my kids. Swim areas. That. I have to take my shirt off or something like that, or even when I wear my shorts, people are like staring at me and stuff, and so, but, it's, I look at it as something that God gave me to remind myself of the situation, circumstances which I found myself in and the way I conducted myself. And, when I left it, I looked at it and I reviewed it not too long ago. I was going over everything in my mind about the way I treated people and the way I acted in there and the things I did. And, I don't feel bad about it. I feel good about it. I don't look at any individual and say, did I do this person dirty? I didn't. I don't feel like that, the only problem that I have with what I did was the gang stuff. That's it. Only because of me, people were led down the wrong way. Because of me, people followed me. And I don't think I led them in the right direction. And that's the only thing that kind of bothers me. But we were all doing what we were doing, you know what I mean? And, the gang thing was just, I don't know, I feel bad about it.
So if the Woods were technically independents, how did it become a gang over time?
Well, the Woodpile was a softball game, softball team at Three Rivers. That's where the Dirty White Boys came from, was the Woodpile, and became the Dirty White Boys and all that, As far, and I haven't never mentioned the gang that I was involved in, obviously, and I don't want to let anybody get any hype off of what I'm saying, and I don't want anyone to get any props off of it. It's including the group. I don't want people to look, because that's what happened. That's how a lot of this happened, is with people, they followed me down the wrong hole. And I don't want anyone to do that or get any kind of props off of what I'm talking about now. But the group that I belong to, like all Texas gangs, let's put it this way: all Texas gangs came into existence because of the Ruiz Bill. The Ruiz Bill overturned the way in which the Texas Department of Corrections ran their facilities. In the 70s, Texas Department of Corrections run their facilities using turnkeys and building attendants. I don't know if you're familiar with them. A turnkey and a building attendant is an inmate guard. That's how the prisons were run before. The inmates passed out the mail. They had the keys to the prison. They unlocked doors. They whipped your ass if you got a line. There were no gangs. None. Ruiz came in, it was a bill that was passed, and it overhauled the whole system. So here arrives the 80s. There's a vacuum in the Texas Department of Corrections where who's doing the hustles? Who runs the kitchen? Who runs the laundry? Who's running stuff? Gangs started happening, The group that I was involved with came in 85, right? I became a member in 10 years later, 95, which what I would like to say was like the second generation of the whole deal. And along with my group came another group, a white group, the ABTs. And there was conflict immediately and power struggles, The Mexicans had their own power struggles between the Texas Mafia and the Pistoleros and, Vayucos. There were so many Mexican gangs at the time and towns and cars and stuff. But it was just basically it just flipped from the turnkey building attendants to gang members who was running and controlling the yards. Because obviously we've discussed it. The prisons are not running anything. They're just there, you know what I mean? They're letting the inmates run everything. So, but yeah, that's how the gangs got started. That's filling the power void was the way they got started in Texas. And when it moved to the feds, it just kind of, because of it grew, I think, because the existing gang, which would have been the brand, were not on the yards. And so you had all these other gang members coming from all these different states. And that's why you have so many gang members in feds. There's a lot of different gangs, a lot of different white gangs, and none of them get along.
So, but now individual white guys like yourself are still considered a peckerwood?
Yes.
That's not a gang, peckerwood.
No, you're just a wood. That means you're a white guy who will get down. That just means you're a wood. You're a white guy who will fight.
So an Aryan Brotherhood guy could be a wood.
Yeah.
Just like another white gang could be a wood.
Any white dude can be a wood. Any white guy is a peckerwood. That's what we were called. I mean, that's all the blacks or Mexicans, whatever, they just called you wood or peckerwood. You know what I mean? So anybody can be a wood. As long as you're a get down type guy and you're going to stand up for yourself, you're a wood. We're a wood.
So did you come into the feds already in a gang, or did you?
Yes.
Okay.
I was a gang member from Texas, from the state joint. I was a gang member from TDC. Like I said, when I left TDC, I kind of thought that it was over.
Could you have stayed independent in the feds?
I mean, I could have done what I wanted. Yeah. I mean, of course. Yeah. The one who's most violent can decide what he wants. I mean, I just carried it on because I was already a part of it, I guess, and I was like, okay, well, this is what it is, and so, yeah, I could have easily said no, but in there, you have so little control. That's all you want is some kind of control over something, over your environment some way. And I quickly understood that I could use that to my advantage. That, you got to be smart, you know what I mean? And, for me, it was like, okay, well, this is what it is, I'm gonna use the tools that are available to me, you know what I mean? And that's what I did. I mean, I knew before I got out of prison that I was done. I knew that I was in the gang unit, sitting in the gang unit going, man, if I ever make it out of here, I'm over this, man, you know what I mean? Because it was heartache. It was just heartache, man. I mean, for instance, these people that you're dealing with are some of the most treacherous, evil people you'll ever deal with. I mean, these people, like, I've been in a cell, and I'm not going to say this guy's name. He's an ADX, life sentence, he'll never get out. And he was reputed to be one of my main lieutenants. So this guy, we're in a shoe cell together, and we did a bunch of shoe time together, and we're in there, and it's the early days when I first came to the max yard. I came from a medium. I canoed a child molester out of El Reno, and they sent me from there. I was 25, and they sent me to the max because of the assault. And when I got to the max, there were some homeboys there, like about 8 or 9 of them. It was a lot of them, right? It was the first yard I've been on with any homeboys since TDC. And I get there, and there's some people there, and they're hating on me a little bit, you know what I mean, and this, that, and other, or whatever, because I don't do drugs, and I'm against it. And so they hated on me, and so they sent one of their little guys down there, and I beat him up and sent him back up there, and then they were going to stab me and all kinds of stuff, all this bull crap. Anyways, we goes through it, and we're in a hole. I'm in the bucket, and I'm with this other guy and some other guys. We're in there, and I'm sitting at this little writing table. And in the shoe, they got these little bitty tables and this little chair that swings over, and you're sitting there, and I'm sitting there. I'm a big guy. I'm like 280, 290 at the time. And I could barely fit in this thing, man. And I remember sitting there, and I'm writing something, and the one homeboy jumps on my back and starts choking me out. Gets on my back and gets me in a chokehold and starts choking me. Well, I can't get up. I'm stuck in this goddamn little chair. I'm so big, it's hard for me to get out. And so eventually I get up, and I'm swinging this dude around, and I'm almost there. I could feel it coming in. You can feel it, the edges start closing in, and I'm almost there. And I get the dude off. I finally get the guy off of me. And he was quite a bit smaller than me. And I finally get the guy off of me, and I just start pounding the dude, right? And the dude starts screaming, oh, brother, whatever, you know. So I stopped beating this dude up, and I look down at the guy. And he's a psychopath, this guy. He's a killer, you know. And he looks up at me and goes, and I remember that look, at this weird look that he always had, and he was a crazy motherfucker, this guy. But he looked at me and goes, I almost got you, didn't I? I almost got you, you know. And that's what you had to deal with. You never knew one of these motherfuckers, you know, what they were gonna do. I mean, if you were next. I mean, they were literally, I mean, it was that cutthroat with your own people. You know, it was that cutthroat that they would try to kill you. And they did a couple times. They tried to kill me a couple times, and but you know, it didn't work out for them. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's how treacherous that thing is. You know, and I've seen them do some dirty shit, man. You know what I mean? Killing women and just things that are against my beliefs. You know, you're not supposed to hurt a civilian. You're not supposed to hurt a woman and child under any circumstances. And some of these dudes, you know, they don't give a fuck about that, man. You know what I'm saying? They don't care. They just want to do dope and kill people and shit. You know what I'm saying? So
now, couldn't the federal prison system have avoided all of this if they saw, say, guys like yourself coming into the system, if that gang didn't even exist in the federal system yet?
Yeah, they could have. They could do it now. You could stop all gang members. You could kill. You could do it. You could destroy them. It's really easy. You just take all the shot callers and take them to a child molester yard. They got those protective custody child molester yards. Just go stick them all over there. Who are they going to recruit? A bunch of fucking child molesters? Put them on a range, on a lockdown range, where everybody on the range is child molesters, but them.
But doesn't, when you take one away, another one sprouts?
In some regards it does, but boy, look at what it did to the brand. Look how it devastated the brand. Pelican Bay tore them dudes out the frame. They're not big. They're nothing. There might be a couple of brand dudes on the yards in the pens anywhere in the federal system. A couple of them. And they're gonna mind. They're gonna do what they're told to do. So they did that. When they did that when they put all them dudes down like that, that controlled it. And they could do the same thing to the feds. They got plenty of facilities. The Lewisburg Smooth program, that's all that is. It's a bunch of people who stab people and gang members over there, and they lock them all down. But guess what? They're recruiting, because it's all gang members and people that freaking stab people. You just put all of them in the same yard. Congratulations. You didn't do shit.
But don't these guys still manage to call shots even from solitary and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%. Start snagging them off the yards and start breaking their wheel, and it will end quickly. I'm telling you. But they don't want to. They don't want that. The Bureau of Prisons do not want there to be no gangs. How many people know that segregation is not a policy in the feds? Segregation is not a policy. The feds do. If you look up in the federal, there is no segregation until you go to the max.
Now, why do the feds put chomos and say people that snitch on a yard with people that are against that? Why do they do that?
Good question. Well, you don't remember, but back in the day, the feds used to only send certain people to the max. You had to be a certain age, and you had to have a certain amount of time. Well, what that does is, there's 6 of us here. We're all killers. Kind of iffy about walking into that building. You're a guard, knowing all 6 of them dudes are killers. Okay? Now all these 6 killers can conspire and do all kinds of stuff like that. Throw a couple of lames in there. It helps, okay? Keeps things quailed down. You know, you can't put all killers on one yard. You're gonna have a bunch of killings. You gotta throw some fish in there. You gotta throw some other dilute the pond. Okay, you have to dilute it, because you can't have it all in one strength and one level. Then everybody can come together. They want division. They don't want people to come together. I got sent to the gang unit for having too much control and too much power over the federal yards. They sent me to the gang unit. I didn't have a shot. I didn't stab nobody. I didn't do anything. They just said that I had too much sway over the federal yards, just because I didn't divide. I always communicated with people. Black, Mexican, didn't matter. I mean, I was in Lee County. There's a lot of people know this story. I was in Lee County, and there's probably 15 Tongo blasts and like 13 of my guys on one range. in the shoe. All Tongo blasts on one side, and all my guys going up the other side. We hear something going, we're on upstairs, we hear something going on downstairs, and Johnny Bart knows about this. They got the team suited up, and they're going in each cell, and they're taking the radios from each cell. Well, they holler up at us, and they're like, hey, man, they're taking radios. It's like, oh, cool, man, no problem. I holler at my buddies, I said, flag it, everybody put your flags up. So it's in the shoe, you cover your windows. Flag, we call them flags. So flagging up. So we put our flags on there. So the police come down, they come right to my cell. Mr. Walsh. I open the flag, I said, what's up, man? He says, hey, I said, we can't do nothing for you, man. I said, we're keeping our fucking radios. Every one of us. The philosophy or the thought processes behind this is these fat bastards are gonna get tired after about 3 or 4 cells. I mean, and I got a couple buddies down there, they're going to go hard, you know what I mean? So it's going to take them a long time, you know what I mean? And they know it. That's why they don't want you to be together, okay? So they didn't realize I had a great relationship with the Tongo Blast. They were, as soon as I hollered, they had a Tongo Blast named Mark, and he was on there, and he hollered down at me, what are you doing? I was like, hey man, we're not taking, fuck that. And he told all his homeboys, okay, flag up. So the whole shoe range, we're going to take the team. And they come down there politicking. So they send the lieutenant and the captain down there, and they come to my cell, and they're like, hey, Mr. Walsh, if you would just let us cuff you up and take you out of your cell, we won't take your radio. I was absolutely, boom, cuffed up. They went in there, didn't take nothing, came back out. I yelled hello to everybody. They didn't take nobody's radio. So in Lee County, the top range had their radio and the bottom range didn't, because we stuck together. We stuck together, all races. You know what I mean? So that's why they don't want that to be the prison yard, to where we can come together and be on that same level and say, you know what, fuck this. They don't want that. So they will throw. I mean, I've been on a prison yard. I was at Florence, Colorado, a horrible place. And a white kid comes out. We go up on him like, what's up, man? Who you from? Where you from? What's that? This guy got 5 motherfucking years. 5 years. He's 18 years old, bro. I walked him right back up to the lieutenant's office. Let's go. We're walking right up and saying, man, he don't belong here. He's not going to make it. He does not belong here. Y'all fucked up. You know, they don't care. I seen them put a rival gang member, Big Sandy. They took a rival gang member who was a medium custody, wasn't supposed to be in a pen, and put him in the cell with another rival gang member who had killed one of this dude's homeboys. Put him in a cell with him. They come out to the rec yard, and they're like, you know, and I'm like, no, I'm fighting my case. I don't want no trouble. I mean, I am in my case. I think I'm fixing to get released. These dudes were talking about killing and shit. I'm like, oh no, we're not killing nothing. No. So we go out to the rec yard, and they're going to do this, they're going to do that. And I say, man, we're not doing that, man. We're not doing that, you know. And they were like, yeah. They go and fucking butcher this dude. They don't listen to me. They go and butcher the dude. We all get locked up. I get locked up. I'm in back there. I'm pissed, you know, because these dudes got me jammed up. And now they're trying to charge me because I'm the shot caller, supposedly. And these guys got to be following me. But that's not the way it really works. Our group didn't dictate, you go, you know, it didn't really work like that. You know what I mean? You're a member, I'm a member. I might be the guy that's the old OG, you know, whatever, but I can't just dictate to you. If you say you want to go kill somebody, I can't say, you can't go kill that guy. You know, it don't work like that. But they assumed that it did. They assumed that I must be controlling all these guys. These guys are killers, man. They don't give a shit about what you're talking about. If he wants to go kill this dude, he's going to go kill him, you know what I mean? And so they did what they did, you know what I mean? And it wound up almost getting me more time, you know what I mean? It almost got me more time.
So what do you actually have sway over then as a shot caller? Is it more just being the facilitator with the other gangs?
That, for the most part, is your biggest thing. You're the spokesperson. You're the person who talks to other gangs. You're the one who's the head, the one who's thinking, the one who, you know, makes certain decisions, you know what I mean? So yeah, we do definitely. And people, and don't get me wrong, people listen to me because they respected me. And so naturally would listen to me anyways, you know what I mean? But certain circumstances and with certain individuals, these two individuals in particular, they're psychopaths and they don't care. They just want to kill some shit. And so they did what they did, you know what I mean, whatever. And the one that did the kill tried to do that one tried to kill me a couple times. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So, it's just one of those things where, there was no way I could control the situation. And a lot of times it was that way. I mean, there's a lot of times, man, bro, there's nothing you can do. What are you going to do? You know what I mean? They're already trying to kill me. You know what I mean? So it was a hell of a deal, man. I mean, when I look back on it, you're dealing with the guards. Because you remember now, the guards, hey, they do you dirty in there, man. I mean, they used to try to do us all kinds of bad sometimes. And so you go from that to, these other inmates, these other races who didn't like you. And then you had your own people who was trying to do things to you because they didn't like you told them they couldn't drink or you told them they couldn't do drugs. And then two of them are doing dope in another cell and they're over there talking to each other. Man, fuck DJ. Fuck him, man. Yeah. What if he finds out? Because they already know if I find out. So what do that mind think? Well, we got to get this dude. We got to get rid of him. Because if he finds out we're doing this, then he's going to kind of get us. So we got to get him. That whole weirdo dope fiend mentality, comes out. And that's all you're dealing with them people. That is absolutely it. I mean, when I got out, I had money and I had associations with other people and that took care of me. And I didn't need anything from these people. And they would it was just dope, guns, drugs, breaking the law. I mean, nothing legal. Nothing legal. Not one conversation. I'd go to some of these meetings, man, and you'd struggle to find somebody that was sober. Just sober. And then they want to frickin' burn somebody's patch off or something like that. And you're like, you have 50 people here. Someone's probably got a federal wire on them, okay? Women and children are here, and you want to burn or cut this tattoo off this dude in front of all these people. You're a fucking genius. You're a genius here, man. You know what I mean? So I hurried up and got away from it. I hurried up and was like, yeah, man, these people, man, this is a fast track back to, jail, fucking with these people, man, you know what I mean? And then I reviewed my whole sentence and look at everything. It was like, it was all, if I think about all the years I spent in the shoe, years behind the door, not because of me, because of other people, right? The dangers and the things that I had to go through and put myself through, and the fact that I wasn't able to go to school or to do any kind of programming or anything because I'm on gang time. I'm on gang time trying to do this thing over here, and I got a good friend that was at Lee County as well, another guy besides Johnny, and he knew me there too a little bit. We didn't talk or nothing, but he was there and he had a perspective of me that I didn't have, or one that I didn't, it's hard to tell what people think about you. You and I can sit here and you can have these thoughts about what you see, how I present myself, right? And he told me just the other day, and he goes, they call you Napoleon, right? Little Caesar, right? And I was like, really? Little Caesar and Napoleon? Yeah. I said, yeah. He goes, they call you Little Caesar because you were the one you were out there deciding who got to stay and who had to go, And he told me that. I was like, I was like, man, I don't like that. I mean, I didn't make that, because at the time, I really was thinking that I was serving my people, that I was just doing what was good for my people and standing for them, representing them, I was the representative. And to think that how other people are viewing you and how people are seeing you is you thinking you're the savior, but you're the enemy, that you're really not the savior, you're the devil. And apparently a lot of people thought I was a devil, and I feel bad about that, because I don't feel right about negatively impacting anybody's life. I want to be there to help you and lift you and build you. And I think that a lot of that got lost in there, and the violence takes over, and you know how it is, man. You know what I mean? It becomes we were kids too, we were young, violent, and with a lot of time. And so things go really bad. You know what I mean? And it did. And I got on. I mean, I was sick. I'll be honest with you. I was sick, man. I was sick. I was sick. I became an animal, man. The shoe time did it to me. It changes you, man. You know what I'm saying? And when you do a significant amount of time behind the door, it just makes you different. And it did. It just, by the time I got out, man, I was not barely human, and it took a lot when I got out to just try to find myself, man, just to find myself. And I showed a picture of someone when I first got out, and it was my ex-wife across from Like I Am, and she took a picture of me. And I had been doing something. I remember I looked up when she took the picture, and when I looked up, you could see just my eyes were just dead, And I looked at myself, and this was years later. I looked at that picture, and I was like, who the fuck is that? Like, that is not me, man. You know what I mean? And even when I told you about the pictures, I don't look at those pictures, man. That's not me anymore, man. That's not who I am. And to get yourself out of that, to go from that mentality to this citizen mentality, and to try to heal yourself from your behavior, your own behavior, it takes time. I mean, I've been working really hard at it because I'm getting old, man. And I think about what I've done, and I think about how my kids are going to see me. I worry about it. I worry about the tattoos and my prison sentence and all these things, and them looking back and going, Daddy was a gang member, scumbag, you know what I mean, or whatever, and how I'm projected as now that most people who talk to me in my real life don't know anything about any of this. When this comes out, this will be the very first that they know anything about who I was, or any of the things I've ever done. Most of them don't know any of it because I don't talk about it. My ex-wife doesn't know half this, and we were married for 9 years. Didn't talk about it. It was just it was in control of my life on the inside, and I was fighting a battle every day, and I didn't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? How you going to tell your ex-wife, my wife, that about the killings and stuff, dreaming and thinking about it, and thinking someone's going to kill you, and just all I'm getting 4 or 5 hours sleep at night, and you're just freaking, it's the mental health part of it, and y'all just went there. Y'all just came out. I don't care if you go in there for your first time for one day, you're never the same. When you walk out those doors, there's something that it does to you. It's a cancer. It's a cloud. It's something that you take with you, and the longer you're there, the more of it that you take. And then when you come out here and try to reintegrate yourself into this society, those things are not applicable to the things that are out here. It's completely different. You can look at me a certain way, and I can be like cool with it. And like even when I first got out here, the best advice I ever got was don't make eye contact. An old Vietnam vet told me, don't make eye contact. If you don't make eye contact, you'll never be offended. You'll never get upset. And I was like, man, you're right. Because I've had some incidences since I've been out, and it was because I made eye contact. I thought somebody was being disrespectful. And, he told me, he said, never make eye contact. So the mental health aspect of it, me coming out here and, and the part of me wanting to talk to you today was about hoping, and not to tell war stories about tough guy shit, but was hope that other people like me and you who got out, who are processing the things in which they saw, or what they had to live through, and how they dealt with it. For you, do you think about the black guys, the DC dudes that did that to you?
Of course.
Okay, let me explain something to you. You did nothing wrong. You could not have done anything right in that circumstance situation. People go, oh man, you should have, First off, that sounds good. That sounds real motherfucking good when you're Monday quarterbacking it. But when you're in a situation, in circumstances, it's a big difference. You know what I mean? As you know, because I know you reviewed that. I know you think about it. I know you look back on everything you did, all the circumstances, everything that happened to you. I know you do because we all do it. Every one of us has those moments in their minds and their hearts. Where I could, and maybe not in that circumstance situation, but things that you could have done different. Man, what if I would? That's life. That's just not life in prison. That's life out here too. So the best and the best lesson to be learned from that and to carry from that is the one which I tried to carry my whole sentence was that I didn't, if I stuck to a certain pattern, like say if you tell the truth, you never lie, it's so much easier because it's straight line. It's a straight line truth, right? If you put everything on that straight line and say, okay, this is, but you were a young man too. Okay, we developed this. This is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is what I'm going to do. Da, da, da. It's all down that one line. And you never vary off that. You never go this way. You never go that way. You just keep going, okay, that's the answer. Keep walking. That's the answer. That's the answer. When you go back to look back, it's a straight line path because you've always followed who you were. You always followed your integrity, your principles, the things that you believed in, and you build those things over time. When I first went to prison, there was many incidences that I did things that I did out of not fear, but this anxiety of having those negative thoughts about not doing something I was supposed to. I just couldn't, man. I'm a little bit of a bug and I'll get to tripping on things, you know what I mean? And there was a really good instance. I landed at Pollock. These independent white dudes were running their mouths on the other yard. And I was one of the rare guys who didn't allow bodyguards. I'd never allowed a bodyguard. I believe that the compounds respected me for me, so I wouldn't allow a bodyguard. So I got my knife, didn't tell nobody. Had like 8 or 9 homeboys there. I went over to the other yard where these dudes were talking crap. I went to their table, sat down at their table and waited. Work call. They wouldn't even come. They come out and they saw me. They knew what time it was. I seen them peeking out the door and they see me down there and they wouldn't even come down. They sent a representative down and goes, "What's up?" I'm saying, "I'm just checking the pulse, homeboy. What's up?" "Oh no, man, it's cool." "Okay, cool, man, it's cool." I go back. What people don't know about the story is that night I didn't sleep and I got a knife on me and I'm pacing and I'm nervous because I'm feeling forced to do it. It's not me. I was being compelled. There was something in my mind telling me I had to do this. I had to do this. If you don't have that in your mind, and mine come from my brother's influences on me. If you don't have that in mind, how do you know how to react? How do you know how to deal with that type of situation? What do you do? I mean, who knows? I mean, like I said, for me, I grew up different. I was I used to see guys come into prison and they never broke the law in their life. They were come from good neighborhoods, good families. They're not prepared for this or things like that. I was being told about shit like that when I was 12. At 12 years old, I was told already about that kind of punk ass shit. It was laced up to me. I knew exactly what to do. There's a difference. You weren't given those tools to prepare you for that bullshit. So I feel for those people that and I used to see them come in all the time, and you're like, God dang, boy, man, this guy, he don't know nothing, you know what I mean? But those kinds of things are what I think about how I treated people and the things that I did or the way I responded or the way I reacted to certain situations. And I think that there's a lot of us like that out there, like you, me, all these guys that got out. We carry these things with us. And when we come out here, who do we talk to? We normally, if we're going to stay out, we're not associating with convicts. So everybody in my life, who am I going to talk to? I don't have a convicts in my life, homeboy. I'll tell you that right now. I got one good buddy of mine. That's it. He's but everybody else, ain't nobody been in jail. So am I going to talk about these thoughts of what I went through? They're not going to understand. It's like guys that come back from the war. They need war buddies to talk to. That's how they get past it. That's how they are able to heal. is they're able to communicate with other people and say, man, you know, and just talk about it. That's what this is. This is what this should be. This should be cathartic for people. This should be an opportunity for people to come up here and talk about the struggles. I watched your show and I watched some of these other guys, and you get you had a couple characters, and you know, and you look at them, and you know, and it's like, you know, and you know what I mean. You know, I know you know, because you've been in prison, and I don't care where you've been. Prison teaches you things. One is human nature. You're able to look at people. You know, you have an advantage. That's for sure. I mean, no one can analyze people the way a guy who's been in prison can. You know what I mean? Like he's on it, man. You know what I mean? So like some of these guys would come up here and would talk about this tough guy thing, and I was like, wow, you know, that's not what I want to do. That's not the vibe that I want to give. The vibe I want to give is that it can get better, and you don't have to go back, and you can change your life, you know. And there's a lot of guys that know me, and they'll look at this and probably go, wow, that doesn't even look like the same guy, you know, because I'm not. I am not the same guy. I'm completely different. Do I battle with the same, you know, scars and drama and stuff that, you know, we all do? Yeah, I do, and I deal with it, and it's tough, man. You know, I've struggled with it more than anything. I mean, the mental health aspect of it, of just getting past all that, the violence and the ugliness of that situation, you know, and just the treatment, you know, the being in a cell and knowing that you can't get out. I used to, oh my gosh, I used to sit in that cell, man, and I would think about, what if the war happens and they leave us locked in here and then no one comes and feeds us? What if someone doesn't open that door and gives us some water or food? You know, and man, that thing will consume you. I've sat for, I mean, looking at how I can break this off, I can escape. I mean, just the things that go through your mind, man, thinking about the lack of control that you have over your life. You know what I mean? Like the degradation of who you are as a human being. People want to look at your butthole and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that shit didn't sit well with me, you know. And I'll tell you another goddamn thing on everything I love. Ain't nobody ever saw my butthole. And the guards, I mean, I've had some bad situations because I come through R&D and they want to shake you down and look at, and I tell them straight the fuck up. You're not looking at my asshole, homeboy. We'll fight up in this motherfucker. You know, and they didn't like me, but I mean, you know, but yeah, I never did that either because, you know, I just, it was war. That's the difference. That was fucking war, bro. It was war. That was war. You know, and that's the way I looked at it. It was a war with myself, with the people around me, with my environment. I was just at war, you know, and that's how I survived. Just, you know, thinking of it that way, you know, just projecting it that way. That's why I didn't watch TV. That's why I didn't try to do all that bullshit. You know what I mean? To me, this was just I had to survive. I had to fight. I had to do these things, you know, to make it out. And, you know, it just, and at the same time, probably never thinking that I would get out. You know, I never really imagined it. I never really thought it was possible. I never gave it any hope. I wish I would have, because I think that I would have done things differently. I would have tried to program, you know, as odd as that is, to take a program, you know what I mean, or whatever. And, you know, I never really was not a person who did that. And I think that schools and vocational classes, and if we really want to help these guys, if we want to change the whole environment, let's give people trades. Let's give them a hope to say that there is a future, that you can get out and you don't have to sell drugs. You can get out and you don't have to be a junkie. You can get out and be a citizen. You can do it and prepare them to be a citizen. I wasn't prepared to be a citizen. I didn't know what it was required of me. No one sat me down and talked to me about the differences, that, you know, you don't have to, you know, check somebody because they bumped into you in the, you know, in the freaking store, or, you know, what I had to do about paying bills. I had a friend of mine ask me what my budget was. I'm like, my budget? I don't know. Let's see here. It's like, no, your budget's not in your pocket. You know what I mean? Like, you need to figure these things out. Well, I didn't know none of this stuff, man, you know? And so like, I wish someone had it. No, not I wish. That's their job, is to prepare you for the free world. If they're locking your ass up and they're going to keep you in there, then they should have some type of responsibility about what they're going to release. A lot of these people don't understand that. There should be a big push for this. Why are we not advocating more for having programs? Why are we not advocating more to have these people, you know, reintegrated to our society in a positive way, instead of just being tossed out there and go, well, he'll come back, because the statistics tell them that they're going to come back. So they already know that they're going to come back. Why are we not doing anything about it? We're not doing shit. And it bothers me, and I don't understand why. And I think that if we get more of the senators and congressmen and more of these political people to start pushing for these activists, you hear these people talking about the neighborhoods, and you know, in Oklahoma City we've had some shootings and some bad stuff going on. You can see these activists get up there and they're like, this, that, and other. Hey man, push for advocacy to people to go into these prisons and program it. Make it more than just a penal institution. Make it where it's someplace where people can heal. We're all sick. Why do you think we're in prison? Why do you think we're breaking the law? You want to? You know what I'm saying? This is freaking, you know, we need to address these things. We need to figure out what it is that's causing these problems in our communities, and what's leading people to go there in the first place, and what's leading them back. It must be something wrong with the system if the people that it's supposed to be to punishment, and then they just keep coming back. Well, then that's not working. If you punish your kid a certain way and they continue to do the same damn thing, you're going to keep punishing them the same damn way? No, you're going to look for a creative way to make them listen to you or change. We're not doing that with our prison systems. We're not doing that with these people who are getting out. We're not supporting them. They go, oh, well, there's programs out. Bullshit. You know what I mean? And to me, that's our obligation. This is I think it was Gandhi said that you can tell a lot about a society by the way they treat their poor. You know, the lesser people in the society, you can tell a lot about the society itself by the way the lesser ones are being treated in that society. You look across the world and look at their judicial systems, their prison systems, they're far advanced to us. Why is that? Why is that when you go to Europe, their philosophies about prison and reintroduction to society is far advanced to ours. They think so much about the person, the human, and what we can do to make them good citizens. Why don't we do that here in the United States? It's ridiculous, man. We're supposed to be a first world, Western civilization and like the pride of the world here, but we treat these people like animals and do nothing for them and expect something out of them, I guess. I mean, we're letting them back out into our communities and look at me. Bro, they took me from a gang unit. Do you really think they should have just tossed me out into the streets like that? You think that was, let's think about that, okay? You know, I have a what's it called? They had to notify the community when I got out, because of my violence. So they just kicked this guy out who was considered to be a very violent dude, gang member and everything else, and just let him go. Just let me go, man. And no one complaining about that. No one thinks that's a problem.
So what do you mean notify the community? What did they have to do?
Public safety factor. They put it in your file. You have a public safety factor, so they have to notify the community upon your release.
But how do they do that?
The cops.
They tell the cops about you. Okay.
Yeah. They notify that you're out. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like notifying the community. But you're like, you're just releasing people like that. So people like me are getting out, just out. I think there's a better way. You know what I mean? And I think that we can do so with programs. And I think that, like I told you before, people like me, if I would have known that there was options, I would have made different choices even before. I would have made different choices, but they didn't seem available to me, and I didn't see them going on. You were in the prisons. It's a fucking joke, bro. To me, the Bureau of Prisons is like the fucking U.S. Postal Office. Another shit-run government facility. That's all it is. You look at these individuals, some of these guards that they hire. I mean, these people are freaking, I mean, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like this is run in such a Mickey Mouse way, and it's just absolutely ridiculous, man. It makes me so upset because these are people's lives who we're talking about, man. These are human beings, man. And we're just like, you know, I mean, in my circumstance, my situation, you know, I was a kid when I got all that time. And, you know, the system just chewed me up, spit me out, man. And it was because I didn't have any money. And I don't have family. So when you don't have family and stuff, hey, man, they'll run you through like you ain't nothing. You know what I mean? So there has to be change. There has to be sentencing guidelines that has to be adjusted. I think that we need to have more community support, and then we need to have a whole overhaul of our borough prisons to where we are establishing norms for our prison systems that are leading the world. We lock up more people than anybody else in the world. So why are we not the head of it in figuring out what's the best way of doing it? What's going to correct behavior? Because you had support, right, when you got out?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you imagine getting out and no one being there? Like, what do you do? Like, what if they just let you out and you got no family, you got nowhere to go, and they just let you out and that's it? What do you do?
And there's a lot of people like that.
What do you do, though? I mean, that's sad, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, what options are you leaving them? I mean, they only know one thing. You know what I mean?
And
like,
especially after, say, 20 years, because the world's different.
The world's different. I mean, it's not even giving you any. And again, there's a problem. And you're exactly right. There's a good example right there. Think about that. Okay, you got guys. Shouldn't there be some kind of standard there? Like, if this guy did 15, 20 years, well, then if he did that much time, then we need to do this. What is that? Make sure he's got he's studying the driver's license book. Make sure that he's got there's some classes on how to do his handle his budget. Classes on how to reintegrate into society, how to get a rental property, how to get a job, how to fill out a job application, how programs that put you in work programs when you get out. What a novel idea that would be, to hire a guy coming straight out of the joint and give him a freaking job. That would be awesome. You know what I mean? Think about how many people that would help, you know, and then not even just giving them a job, a career. Man, if someone had told me I could have a career, like, give a dude a career, man. Give a dude a future. You know what I mean? Like, let's give them that. Let's give these guys coming out of prison a freaking a chance. And that's how you do it. You do it by supporting them, but giving them some kind of freaking support, especially when it comes to a job. I mean, that was the most important thing. That is it. If you just give them, you know how we could change, you know, a lot by just giving some of these guys jobs.
Well, and a lot of states are on top of that, like with their work release programs, but the feds just can't get that together.
No, because they'll just let you out.
But half the problem, I think, or most of the problem is the halfway houses have turned into money grabs, and they're not doing what they're supposed to do at all.
Yeah, not everybody gets halfway house.
No, but even the ones that do, think about how many that do, that just fails them too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know?
Yeah, you're right.
So you have that, and then you have the circumstances like yours where you're in a war zone one day and the next day you're in the free world.
Yeah.
With $20 they give you.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't give me that. Yeah, they didn't give me $1, dog.
Because of your commissary account.
Yeah, I had $200 in my. Yeah, I got lucky on that one. But yeah, you're right, and that's the thing. That's what really bothers me, is because, like, what is the whole thing is ridiculous to me, because you break the law, okay, and there's a sentencing, right? Which I hate that part too, because who knows how much time you're going to get. You and I can commit the same crime and get different time. It's absolutely stupid. I don't like that. I thought that was absolutely ridiculous, because if we committed the same crime, you know, there needs to be something fixed on that. There needs to be some kind of way, where I told you about reform, judicial reform when it comes to sentencing guidelines. When I went before the judge, the feds, you know how they do their little points, you know what I mean? Which is a ridiculous thing as well, because points don't, you're not points. You're not a number. You're an individual, man. Shouldn't we try to figure out who you are and how we're going to deal with you, your case, your situation that's going to be beneficial to you? Obviously, yeah, we're trying to punish you. I get that. No doubt about it. But you're a human being that's going to come back out into society. We have obligations. If you're a parent, you have obligations to your kids. If you're a judge or if you're in a position of power, you have an obligation of the people that you're controlling. That obligation is, why are we going to, when you're sentencing me, is this just strictly punishment? Is this strictly, this is our policies here in the United States, that if you break a law, we're going to give you your pops, we're going to spank you, and be a good boy next time. Because that's what prison is. It's just giving you some pops and then sending you back out in the street without any type of reform, nothing. And we're never going to get anywhere like that. We're always going to have the problems that we have. We're always going to, and there's a lot of people listening to this that their family are doing time and are possibly going to do time, but are doing time. And you look at it and you go, where's the hope? The hope is that he's just in timeout right now and hope that he's better when he gets out. Well, hope that timeout worked. You know what I mean? And now here he is. Here's little Johnny. Oh, well, how'd the timeout work? That can't be it. I mean, that cannot be the way that think that we're going to correct this behavior. This cannot be it. It can't. And so it bothers me a lot. And it always has, because I've gotten out a couple times and I've seen the struggle and how hard it is. And it's something that we'll have to fight against. And I think that us as a community, we can come together, and I think that there's a lot that we can do to advocate that there be change. There's too many of us that have been in prison or have relations that have been in prison that we can't change certain policies in our country. I think that we need to look at it and review it and say that what is it we can do to make things better for these men coming out. And not, I'm totally against the whole lifetime loss of your privileges. Me as a felon, I can't own and possess a weapon, right? Why? I've served my time. Why can I not get all my rights back? Well, they say, oh, you can, not me. I got a violent offense. I'll never be allowed to have my rights back because of my crime. And I understand that too, but that doesn't apply to everybody. So why should someone have to wait so long? Why, when I got sentenced, when the judge sentenced me, he didn't say, and you shall lose all your rights for the rest of your life. He didn't sentence me to that. So how'd that happen? How did I lose all this? He didn't sentence it to me. It's just a given that I'm gonna lose all my rights because this dude sentenced me to this shit. And then even today, when they run my name through the computer, why should I have to suffer that? Why should I have to pay for that still to this day, man? And how long am I gonna have to pay for that? How long is a 30-something-year-old crime gonna deprive me of living a regular life? How long do I have to pay? I mean, I'm being delayed right now for my state licenses to sell life insurance because they're saying that they had to hand it over to the legal department because I answered truthfully on it. Do you have a felony? And I said, yeah. And because I said, yeah, I'm getting drugged through the bushes and I still haven't got my license almost 2 months later. And I'm writing senators and stuff trying to get my fucking license. Why should I have to deal with that, man? I'm trying to do something. I went to school, man. I'm doing good. I got a family. I'm doing the right thing. And I still got to fucking deal with this shit? I still got to be, because you're a felon? This shit happened in 93, man. I mean, how long does this have to hold on to? And that's where we're failing these guys. It's a failure, man. You shouldn't have to, you said something about your felony. How long does this last? You know what I mean? Can we not get some respite and some reprieve on this, man? There's things that can, and even something as simple as that could change a man's life. If he didn't have to he was a felon on that thing, how many job opportunities that would open?
A lot.
You see what I'm saying? So why should we have this, it's almost like double jeopardy. We're getting stacked sentences. We're getting the sentence the judge gave us and then this other sentence that just hangs over our head. out here in society. And I've been out since 2016. I'm still dealing with it, man. You know, and you're like, God dang, how long is this going to go on, man? You know what I mean? So it's a handicap, man. You're handicapping these guys that already got a handicap against them. So yeah, it's fucked up, man. Yeah, it's sad. It really is. It's sad because I love this country, man. You know, I do. And I mean, I got a flag on my watch. I love this country, man. I love it. But we are behind times on a lot of things. And there's a lot of reforms and a lot of things that we could do these prisons and inside the prisons, not just outside the prisons, inside the prisons. Hire, vet, and do better at putting people of power and position in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. And let's reform it. Let's take control. And people are going to hear me say the government needs to take control of the prisons and be mad at me about it. And I'm okay with that, because why should young Ian go to prison and have to deal with fucking jackasses? Why? Why? If you're the authorities, the Bureau of Prisons, the authority, why are you not the authority in prison? Because they're not the authority in prison. It's the inmates. It's the gangs. They're other authorities. Why are they being allowed to be the authority? Why should an inmate like me walk into a maximum security chow hall, Florence, Colorado? I had my own, this was my chair, this is DJ's chair. Wasn't nobody gonna sit at it. I could walk in there and sit down at my chair, and when I sat down, I would have everything that the officers were eating in the officer dining room at my table. And no one was going to say anything. Why? No inmate should have that power. Nobody. That should not be allowed. If I was a warden, that shit ain't happening. No one's special up in this motherfucker. Every one of you got numbers, and you're going to be treated the exact fucking same way. Why should it, and this is a well-spoken story, that you go into and this would happen in a lot of the prisons, a lot of the pens, you'd walk into R&D, and the man would come in there and tell you, if you're fucked up, go that way. If you think you can make it, go that way. That's what they told you at the pens. The warden is famously spoke about, and there's been a couple of them, that would pull the knife out and do all that. They did that. If you're going to go there, you better get one of these and pull one out of the knife side. And at Lee County, they did it. You're going to need one of these. If you're going to go out there, you better get one of these and don't get caught with it. Now, how are you going to tell me that the fucking warden going to tell me that I got to break the rules and get a knife? But on the same fucking sentence say, I'm going to charge you if you kick somebody. It's called a shod foot. They were charging people for kicking people and giving them time. You threaten my life coming in the motherfucking door, okay? And tell me I need to get a knife, but gonna tell me that you're gonna fucking charge me? That's bullshit. And that's the kind of trash that needs to be taken out of the Bureau of Prisons. We need to get people in there that's gonna be men and take control of men. Take fucking control of the prisons and allow men to do their time. That's their job. Their job is to make sure that everybody is doing the same type of time. No one's getting no benefits. No one's life's being threatened. They're supposed to protect you. I was at Florence, Colorado, and I'll tell you like this, and not just Florence, Big Sandy, most of Pollack, most of the more violent yards that I was on, but in particular Florence, because when I got to Florence, I had a very, very good buddy of mine that was a cellie in there, and Dustin, very good guy, little short guy. I'm going to give him 5'8", but I think he's a little shorter than that. Very strong guy, a little peckerwood. And I go to Florence, Colorado. I walk in, they're locked down. They just had that 2018 riot where they shot some people, and it was a big deal. Hitler's birthday riot. My homeboy started it. Jackass. And so I go to the yard. They send me there. I'm the first pagan to hit the yard, Odinist to hit the yard after the riot. The first gang member to hit the yard after the riot. I walk into Dustin's cell. They open the door. I walk in. And the first thing you see is knives cut out of everything. So if you look at your bunk, you see all down the bunk knives cut out, multiple ones. Look at the lockers, shit broke off, knives made out of everything. So I'm looking around going, oh, wow, okay. Know what time it is here, right? Dude looks up at me. He's on a button. He goes, yeah, it just killed my last cellie a couple of days ago. I hope you make it longer than him. This is my cellie, Dustin. And he was a good dude. But we stayed locked down we didn't go to chow hall for like 6 or 7 months. You know what I mean? And they finally let us rec in the day room. So we could go in the day room and get a little bit of rec time in the day room and stuff and come back up and everything, And he's like, he told me, he goes, he was telling me about different stuff. I was like, yeah, whatever, man, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? Because some of my homeboys started the riot. It was my guys that did it, and it caused a bunch of shit. And I wound up meeting 2 Crip dudes, brothers. Washington and Hughes were their names, last name. And I know dudes know them because these dudes were legit fucking guys. And I have the utmost respect for these dudes, and I consider them to be friends of mine, meeting them there. But that place taught me a lot because of the level of violence that was always there and was always right there on top. These guards would walk in to this pods, and I am not exaggerating. There would be a dude sharpening a knife over there. There'd be a dude cooking moonshine over there. There'd be a dude smoking dope over there. There'd be a dude gambling over there. And this guy, I swear, there must have been something painted on the roof up there because this motherfuckers would come in there and hey, listen, and was gone, son. And you're like, I could get killed in here and ain't nobody's going to help me. Okay. So what do? Well, fuck, I got to be violent too. I got to go get me a knife now. I got to fucking, you know what I mean? Because no one's going to help you. You realize that. I mean, like, this cop just went in here and was like, oh, I don't want to see none of this bullshit and walked right out. They don't hang out. They don't hang out that's one thing everybody will tell you. Like, they're not hanging out in the Max Pen day rooms just chilling because they're fucking killers out there, man. These dudes are fucking dangerous, man. You know what I'm saying? And so they would bounce out, you know what I mean? So like that kind of shit. Now, is that the way a prison should be ran? The prison, we're running it. We're running it. They're not running it. You know what I mean? So like that's not cool, man. There has to be something to be done about that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of thing that bothers me more than anything is that kind of stuff. Like, why is that being handled that way? People being victimized and, taken advantage of because the guards are not going to help. What are you going to do? Go tell the guard? Now what? I go up to you and press you. You going to go tell the police, man? You're not going to tell the police, bro. You're not. And I don't care what anybody says. You're not going to tell the police. You know what that means. You know what I mean? So like, it's a tricky situation, man. It's a very touchy situation. And if you don't really know the rules, and I hear people talking about, oh yeah, people lace you up. White dudes come up to you, hey man, they do. If you're a white guy, or man, it don't matter what you are. Someone's going to meet you at the door. They're on you, and they're going to tell you, and they're going to lace you up. Hey man, this, that. Another thing, I want to say this too, because this has been bothering the hell out of me, man. The pissing on the commode backwards bullshit. Do you know about that?
No, what's that?
Okay. I heard about on one of these things. I don't know if it was you on this one or no. This guy got on here was talking like he was a peckerwood or whatever, and he's talking about, yeah, it's a respect thing. We sit down and pee and stuff like that. Bro, if I see someone sit down and piss on that, no, we don't sit down and piss. That is not happening, okay? I've never seen anybody.
Oh, they made me sit to pee, but it wasn't another white man that would do it. It's like if you're celled up with a Muslim or a black guy.
That is the most insane thing I've ever heard in my whole life.
That's what I said.
Bro, you can imagine someone telling me that I need to sit down and pee? To sit down and pee? Are you fucking kidding? Like, I didn't even never heard of that. And I heard someone say some shit on that. I was like, well, where the fuck does they come with that shit from? I don't even know. You know what I mean? So yeah, you seen that? They do that?
They made me do it.
Oh no, bro. Yeah, no. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, that's not a thing. Okay. I want to clear that up. Okay. There ain't nobody. There's no respect thing and all. I don't give a fuck about none of that. There is nobody that we do not practice that. That's not a thing.
That's crazy.
It is not a thing. I promise you. So yeah, I seen that. I heard that. I was like, wow, where the fuck is that a thing at? I mean, who the hell does that? You know what I mean? But again, I understand now. So yeah, I get that part. Yeah, but yeah, no. Not as a general rule of thumb, that's not a thing. So people don't do that. But yeah, I had never heard of that before. So when people said that, the couple of things with the knocking thing and the thing about the peeing thing on backwards deal, I was like, oh man, I don't know about all that. That's a different time than I've ever did. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But yeah, that is ridiculous, is what that is. And where were you at? You were a medium?
I was at a low.
A low and low. And so they're...
But this was at the detention centers. Because at the low is open dorm, so you're using community
detention
bathrooms.
centers. Like, what is that? I mean,
So
like y'all have
like an Oklahoma City
Oh,
or
okay.
like a Brooklyn detention center.
So when you were in Oklahoma City, you went to Oklahoma City. So you were in population, obviously. So they sold you with whoever, whatever.
They normally put me either with Spanish guy. Actually, they put me with whoever.
Okay.
They put me with a lot of sex offenders. They put me with
Your custody level.
Yeah, it was when I was in Brooklyn, when I was at Wyatt Detention Center, a private detention center. I was in with a black guy, and he explained it. It was a Muslim guy.
Okay.
And he just said, you got to sit to pee and courtesy flush and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's wild.
It's
That's
crazy.
Wild.
Yeah,
that's wild, man.
I think it really all depends on who you're with and what their practices are.
You didn't grow up in the neighborhood though, did you? Like, you're not from like the hood or neighborhood?
No, I'm not from the hood.
Okay,
No,
yeah. So like, you just kind of like when you went to jail, like you just didn't even know, did you? Like, did you have any idea like about prison? Or
no, I didn't know anything about politics or paperwork.
No,
they don't teach you that, I didn't know anything about that. But also, I think like my own people like failed me.
They did
at the prison because they just automatically they didn't even come up and say, hey, let's see the paperwork.
Yeah, they thought
just
you was
categorized. Automatically.
Yeah.
There was no.
Yeah. Well,
let
see,
me
that's
check
so
it.
fake, because if they thought that, then why didn't they do something? You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah, they just wouldn't let me sit with them. But why not even ask or check or go to a guard? Because my case was pretty public. A guard could have said, but the guards failed too, because they could have stepped in and said, hey, he's good.
Yeah.
I'd have some guards like in the shoe or whatever, they'd say, this guy's good,
That would have never happened at a max.
Even at a medium.
Not even at a medium. The white guys would have pulled you right up immediately.
The Connecticut card did not pull me up at all. That's where I'm from, Connecticut.
Yeah, that's
no pull up, nothing. So it caused problems because I got friendly with the New York car.
Yeah.
Like higher up guys, one of the shot callers and lieutenants or whatever.
Yeah.
And when the DC guys tried to extort me, the New York car got involved, the guys I was friends with. But then that caused beef with the heads of the car. Yeah. So the heads of the car go to the Connecticut and they're like, why aren't you, looking after this dude?
Yeah.
So it was a whole big thing.
Yeah, we don't allow that.
Yeah.
And we don't, and it's a no touch policy. Like, you can't, a black guy cannot pressure a white guy. Like, you can't, we don't allow that. That's not acceptable. I mean, that's crossing that racial line.
The blacks saw that I was alone, the DC guys.
Sure.
They had just that law passed in 2018 where they went from like a pen to a low overnight.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Whatever that thing was. Yeah. But they got ran up out of there by the New York car within a month. They planted a phone because they were too hot. They were young DC guys.
Yeah.
They were causing too much heat.
Yeah.
They were walking
They're
around
notoriously
with
like that, though. I mean, but think about where they come from and this environment they're coming from. It's pretty bad, you know what I mean? And so, like, their mentality and philosophies are skewed towards a certain way, especially looking at a young white guy. They're like, oh,
that had the phone and is running around.
Yeah, they're like, this guy, you know what I mean? They're looking for opportunity, you know what I mean? So, like, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that's and that's a strange experience, man, because I never really had those experiences. No one ever, I have to say, I never got, even when I was really young, I was a big kid, though. I was a tall, big kid. And I think I had a certain look, you know what I mean? And the way I looked at people. And I never really had a problem. I mean, obviously I fought a lot in the county jail. I mean, I was always in all black county jails. So I did a lot of fighting in the county jails and stuff. But getting into the prison, when I went to prison, I had it pretty easy, man. You know what I mean? I never had any kind of pressures like that, you know what I mean? Thankfully. But again, I was schooled, I was taught. People laced me up. I already knew what time it was before I even went there, And I think that it suited me. It was more, I come from a really bad neighborhood, so it's like, to me, it was just like, this is like, it was no different than me trying to walk to school in the morning, honestly, you know what I mean? Like, it was just the same amount of violence, the same stuff. So I think that it kind of suited me, man. You know, I did good at it, I guess. You know what I mean? And,
what happened to your brother and your mother?
my older brother died when I was 18 years old on a motorcycle accident, and my mother died when I was in jail too. So, you know, I didn't really have any family or nothing. So I guess it changed your mentality. You know what I mean? And war is about your mentality. It's the way you approach it. You know what I mean? And for me, I told you it was war to me, man. I mean, it was war. You know, I was there. It was a serious deal, man. You know what I mean? Like I took it very seriously. I mean, back then I'm small now, but I mean, back then, a workout to me was like, I'd drop and do 2,000 push-ups, 100 at a time, you know, and back then I was, you know, usually one of the strongest guys on the yard, you know what I mean, big dude, you know, whatever. So I had that advantage that a lot of guys didn't have. I mean, that's a big advantage, you know, you don't realize it. If you're a big guy, and if just say you're a big guy and just didn't talk a lot, you'd never have a problem.
Because it's that mysteriousness to it.
Just keep,
you don't reveal your cards.
Yeah,
no one wants to be the one to try it.
No. And just let them keep guessing. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, keep to yourself, you know, do your thing, be very direct in what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, don't look like, some guy wandering around not knowing what's going on, but just be very, you know, purposeful in all your actions, whatever you're doing, be very purposeful. This is what I'm doing. And when someone interrupts, it's like, boom, you know what I mean? Okay. You know what I mean? And then boom, 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 boom. And people will leave you the fuck alone. They'll leave you alone. I mean, and I've seen I've seen dudes do, and you hear people, I used to hear, and the reason why I went to the max, I was in the medium. I got the child molester. I did him good. But I did it on purpose too, because I wanted to go to the max. Because I hear these dudes coming from the max, oh yeah, I was in the penitentiary, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh man, this dude's a lame. And I'm like, all right, so I go to max, and I get up there, and it's like, it taught me that anybody can do time. I don't care how tough you are. I don't care what's going on. I've seen some of the lamest, weakest dudes in the world do time up there. They just knew how to do their time, you know? It didn't have to be tough. They just needed to know how to navigate the system, how to stay out of trouble, how to stay out of people's way, you know? And that's the biggest thing is people are bored in there, man. You know, like I told you, man, people are bored and they're looking for something to do, and you look like something to do. You know what I mean? And that's it. That's basically it. I mean, because you remember now, we're all in there just looking, you know, so how can I take this apart? You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's nothing to do. It's so fucking boring. You know what I mean? So that, you know, that's what it becomes, a game. And honestly, in the very beginning, I remember old timers, they would sit up on the range and they would just observe. That was their TV. This is how they passed time, was watching new boots flounder through this system and just see, oh, I bet he doesn't make, you know, they're making bets on you. Like, hey, listen, that's what they did. And it was that way when I came in, because dudes were like, man, we're not going to invest in you until we see what you're about. Until you show us and we see that you're going to be right and you're good, then we're not fucking with you. You know what I'm saying? And then once you show and prove yourself, and they're like, okay, they want to involve themselves. But if I would have had it do all over again, man, I would have kept my fucking mouth shut, and I would have been way laid back. I wouldn't have got involved in nothing. I'd have minded my own fucking business. I wouldn't have never done anything, got involved in anything. I will say that people, you know, I talked bad about the gangs, and I will say this. There's been some good guys, and I'm going to count myself, because there's people will say that we got TVs and we got tables, and I mean, Johnny Barr will tell you, them white tables at Lee County, there's a many a day that you saw old DJ out there by himself holding them tables down, telling dudes, hey, you can't sit here. You know, so there's a lot of people, but there was good peckerwoods, white guys that stood up for that. So and gang members too. There's a lot of good white guys who, the reason why white guys have rights in the maxes is because of guys like me. guys like Johnny, guys that will stand up and say, no, you know what I mean? Remember now, we're pretty bad outnumbered, you know what I'm saying? We having white TVs, having white tables, having all that stuff, that's a pretty big accomplishment, man, you know what I'm saying? And it's because of good white dudes standing on it and saying, hey, this is what it is. So I do absolutely hate gangs and think they're absolutely destructive and nothing positive comes from them. But there has been good gang member individuals. Not all of them are bad. Not all of them, I have all my teeth and I don't do dope. I'm educated. I think that in itself is completely different than what the perception of most people would imagine. That they see someone's like, okay, yeah, and especially the group that I was involved in, whatever, you know what I mean? People are like, oh, this guy, you know what I mean? And even my buddy of mine, when I told him that I was coming over here, and he was like, fuck. Finally, man, someone knows how to speak and has all his teeth. You know what I mean? They can be honest about it, because I'm not going to lie about anything. And most of the stuff I tell you, anything I tell you is that, hey, man, people are going to say something. People are going to comment because they know they were there. They were with me when I was doing all this stuff. You know what I mean? So like, and I don't want to. I'm not trying to glamorize any of it, myself included, because it was the worst time of my fucking life. Like, it was horrible, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about, being in that little cell and seeing no future, like just existing in the moment and like waiting for a life sentence, basically, you know what I mean? Because I kept waiting to be charged for more time, and I got out. When I got out, and I got with my wife, she saved my life. And we're not married anymore. We don't talk, but she definitely saved my life. About 2 years later, after getting out, first, about 7 months after getting out, I go into they didn't make me report because of PTSD. They didn't make me report into the probation officers because I told them I can't do it, man. It's just too much for me. So they would meet me outside, and my probation officer was a really good guy. And so one day they said, you have to come in. So I go in. And I walk in, and there's a table full of people. I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? Well, sit down, Mr. Walsh. There was a district attorney. There were some gang dudes, TDC, Bureau of Prisons. All these people were sitting there. And they sit down. They're like, what's up? And they're like, you did this, you're this, you're that, you're this, that, another, this, that, another. And I go, man, I don't know what you're talking about. And the guy goes, no, you. And the prosecutor guy goes, no, you. And I go, man. And he called me a liar. And I'm not a fucking liar. A liar is a coward, and I'm not a coward, right? So I got up, and I was like, fuck this, fuck that, and it leaves, and everything gets dispersed, and the gang dude tries to talk to me. I'm like, yeah, man, fuck this shit, fucking whatever, man. And he was a good guy, though. I got to give him credit. Both of the task force guys were solid guys, and they leave or whatever, so I messed up. The New York guy says, I'm gonna get you, and I'm free. He goes, I'm gonna get you. I'm like, fuck, man. At this time, I'm having the baby, first kid is being born, and all this goes down. So like about 2017, I think it was 2018, I get a phone call out of the blue, and it's another district attorney from New York, from all places. I don't even know how the New York got into it, but she goes, Mr. Walsh. I said, yes. She goes, this is fucking such. I'm like, yeah. She goes, and I wish I knew her name, because what an awesome individual this person was, and I owe her my life. And so she goes, Mr. Walsh, I'm about to give a lot of time to your homeboys. And I was like, wow, she goes, and I believe, and you could tell by the way she was talking, she goes, I believe strongly in making sure that everybody who deserves it gets what they got coming to them. And this ain't sounding good to me, man. You know what I mean? Like right off. And I'm like, oh man, this is not good, man. Oh my God. And she goes, I just don't think you deserve it. What? Like, can you imagine? Like, dude, that was like, I couldn't imagine someone saying that to me, man, because I never heard anything like that. I'd only heard just that I was a dog, and that I didn't deserve anything, and that, I didn't, I had all this coming to me, and and all that. Never anything positive, and the lady told me that, and man, it fucked with me, man. You know what I mean? And I was like, wow, what the fuck? He goes, yeah. She goes, you'll be hearing about it, I was like, wow, I told my ex-wife, I was like, man, they were going to put me away, man. She was like, yeah. I said, the lady said that, that they're not. And I was like, wow, and then I get a message from someone that says, hey man, look at this. And I pulled it up. Life sentence, a bunch of years. I'm like, oh my God. The 2 life sentences, 2 close buddies, that I did a bunch of time with. And I was like, oh fuck, man. And I tell you, man, that feeling, it never leaves you. It's like, very scary feeling. And even to this day, I don't like to talk. And people told me about talking on here, you know what I mean? Not saying anything criminal, you know what I mean? But I'm scared of them. Bureau of Prisons, man, I'll tell you, man, the federal government, bro, I mean, if they can decide at any moment to take your freedom from you, And the lady told me, she goes, we've been watching you. And they've been under surveillance. And what did they see? I changed my life, man. I got a family. Got a job, work for the state. I got a wife and a kid and stuff. I'm not fucking with none of them dudes. I quit talking to them, quit fucking with them. And the first incident that happened with that was I'm at IHOP with my ex-wife, and I get a phone call. This is a weird story, okay? The guy who started the riot at Florence, Colorado, okay, he went to the ADX, he got out, he went home, okay? Before he went home, he was in the SHU at SMU program, at Florence, Colorado. Him and another dude were supposed to hit the yard because they were going to get disciplined. But they took the team. It's kind of like a check-in move. He's in the SHU. They get drunk. They fuck you and take the teams. They get beat up. Well, they know they're not going to get out. They do that to avoid getting the action out there, right? That guy gets out. That guy is in Houston. That guy is best friends with a chick that I am staying with while I'm out, okay? This guy knows that if he got out over, the whole, it's a big scenario, right? Well, another one of the guys that gets in the life sentence got out too, right? So they're conspiring to kill me. And a lot of the homeboys don't know all this story. It's the first time anybody hears this story, but they conspired to kill me. One of the ones that conspired to kill me was, I thought, like a son to me. He was a really close friend of him, I thought. And, but he did drugs. And they were all scared that I was coming after him for the drugs. So I didn't know he was doing drugs. I didn't even know. I thought I didn't know until later he did drugs, right? And so the dude who was in the SHU that did the move or whatever, I get a call and it's him. And he's drunk or high and he's talking. He's like saying some really wild shit. And I'm going, this motherfucker's tripping, right? So I go, okay. I hung up the phone. I tell her, let's go. Go to the house. Put some things in the bag. Clothes that don't have my DNA on them. Take me a hammer. Drive straight to Houston. Oklahoma City to Houston. Took about 7 hours. Straight there, homeboy. Go straight to that dude's apartment. It's like fucking 5:30 in the morning. No one answers. I got a hammer in my hand. Dude opens the door. It's a black guy. It's not even a white guy. This is in Humble, Texas, right? So the guy looks down at the hammer and goes, "They live over there," and just pointed them out. So dude closes his door. I'm creeping across these motherfucking apartment complexes. I go to the next one. Nobody answers. Ring ding. I get a phone. It's the other homeboy. Hey man, where are you at? Oh, I'm in Houston. What's going on, bro? I'm trying to find this motherfucking dude. That's what's up. Where is he at? Well, let me call you back. You know what I mean? They call me back. Well, he's at his dad's house. Okay, where's it at? I go over there. I drive up. This dude, it's in July, in Houston. The guy's on the front porch with his 80-year-old dad, and the guy's got a bomber jacket on, right? Look at this dude. He gets in the car. He sees the hammer. He gets down, looks, sees the hammer, looks at me, and I go, I will bury you out here. No one will find you. What's the problem? I was high, I was on drugs, all these stories, all this bullshit. Okay, so I let it go. Call my other partner. Hey, everything's cool. I go back to Oklahoma. About 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, go by. I get called to the probation. What's up? Hey, we got to talk to you. Go in there. What's up, man? Why were you in Houston? Well, I just got ratted out, obviously. The two homeboys, they're the only ones know I'm in Houston because I'm on probation. I ain't supposed to leave the state. I go, man, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. He goes, oh, yeah. You know what we're talking about. He goes, check this out. We have the phone being bugged. We had the apartments being watched. You were on camera the whole time that you were doing all your little funny business. You were on camera. We heard the conversation the night before, and we were all looking at each other. We hung up. You hung up the phone. We went to bed. We get a call that says this motherfucker's here now. They all fucking rush, because it's the task force, the gang task force. They're all like, "What the fuck? This dude's down here." I done jammed back before they didn't even know what had happened. Right? Okay. I jammed back. So they tell me, goes, "This is you walking across. Look at you, man. What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "Fuck, man, busted, dude." I'm like, he goes, "You can't do that." He goes, "You're not in prison anymore. Do you want to go back?" And I go, "No, not really, man." And he's like, "We heard him threaten you, but you call us. You don't go and do that." And I go, "I'm not fucking calling you, man. So the best thing I can tell you is keep them away from me, And he goes, "Don't worry, don't do that no more." And they didn't have to be nice to me like this. I broke my probation. I left. They didn't see the hammer, but I left the probation. They know why I was there.
You got lucky you didn't do anything.
I know. And they're watching me the whole time, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And so then it comes out in paperwork and some testimony that the trailer that I went to, that's where they were going to kill me. That him and the other dude they've been plotting. That's why the dude that called me, he was drunk. They were been talking about it, and he got to feeling himself a little bit and want to come talk shit to me. Kind of let the cat out of the bag.
So they got arrested?
No, not too long, not till way later, because they were investigating. That was the whole thing. But once he told me, "Hey man, I was like, oh fuck, I didn't talk to nobody, no calls. I'm not visiting nobody. I'm not going nowhere. I'm going to work every motherfucking day, bro. You know what I mean? For real. You couldn't even talk to me then. I cut off anybody I knew. I was like, dudes that I was doing other shit with, I was like, I'm done. You know what I mean? Hey, this is it. You know what I mean? Whatever. And then that other call happened. You know what I mean? So it was and those two dudes are in ADX underground. That's where they were trying to put me, is ADX underground, life sentences. And that's what they gave my two partners. And so that perspective, it changes you. The perspective of, hey, I wasn't expecting to get out. I'm out now. Then, hey, you might go back, And so I was like, wow, man, my thought processes of being out here is like, God has given me a gift and he's blessed me, man. And I have nothing to be upset about. I have zero to be sad about. I don't think about the loss of my life, you know what I mean? Because I'm an old man now, and I don't have a lot left. There's a lot less ahead of me than there is behind me. And, I look at all this and go, why am I here? How did I make it? Because it's a very tenacious thing. Like, how did I make it? How am I here? It's like going through, it's like, I guess everybody going through worn-torn situations. They get out and they're like, man, we'll look back and go, what the fuck happened, man? Like, why me? Why me? Why am I here? I was a fucking asshole, man. I definitely don't consider myself to have been a good person. Why me? Why this opportunity? Why this chance? Why? And then all the, I lost my good job and I've struggled out here. I'm not even gonna act like this has been a cakewalk. This has been fucked up. This has been tough, man. This has been a very hard deal. It's been hard to deal with. It's been hard to deal with it psychologically, and it's been hard to deal with it just in general, man, because I'm not a shot caller out here, man. I'm just a citizen trying to figure it out, man. And I'll say I go back to the Rambo part of it, where I've always looked at that speech he made. It's never over. It's never over. He says, in there, I was in control of $1 million equipment. And out here, I can't even get a job at fucking McDonald's. That's how I feel. I was the man, in borough prisons and, and out here in that criminal element, in that world, my name was well known. They knew me. And now I can't get a job at McDonald's. It's hard to take. And that's what causes a lot of people to go back. That disconnect is why people go back, because they were somebody over there. Even if it was whoever it was, he was the TV guy or he was the sweeper guy. He was that guy. What is he out here? He doesn't even get to be that guy. And that's the problem with a lot of these dudes and why they go back, is because they can't break away from that. And it's been difficult for me. Very difficult, man. A very hard thing to do, especially, like I said, I never had to worry about money in there. I was rich in there. I didn't have to worry about anything in there. Everything was taken care of for me. Out here, it's not like that. I'm not rich out here, and everything ain't taken care of for me out here. I got to take care of everything, dude. I'll do my own laundry. I wash my own clothes. I do my own dishes. I feed my kids. I do all the cooking. I work. I fucking do all this stuff. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And if you compare it to what I didn't have to do shit in there but work out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's a big attractant to people. People are drawn in by that, because they can't get that same support out here with jobs and careers and stuff like that. They have that already established in there. The other one is, the other major downfall of guys getting out is women. Women.
You got to be careful.
Women, bro. Okay. I had a buddy just went back, and he got out, and he was told specifically about this one woman who had already sent another dude back. This dude was a kingpin. He was a freaking boss. He thought, like me, that, man, I'm so far ahead of the game, they can't catch up. Because I thought that. I thought, look what I just did. Look what I just accomplished. I was running shit. You know what I'm saying? I get out here, and hey, man, you're behind the game. You ain't ahead of the game. This is different out here. These women, hey, listen, you can't. You got to be careful, man. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big downfall. And then spin off of that is just the company you keep.
So important.
The company you keep. You need, just like your woman, to be in tune, right? I don't associate or hang out with people that don't got it better than me. That they're not got more going on in their life. That they're not headed somewhere. If they're not headed somewhere, they got shit going on, man, I don't got time for that. You can't do nothing for me. I want to be around people that are better than me. I want to be around people smarter than me. I want to be around people that I can learn from. I don't want to be around people that just like, we're all just fucking in the same situation. Man, how's that going to help? I mean, that's just stupid, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I go hang out, and I'm not embarrassed to say it. I go hang out at a wine bar. In a rich area where I live at, I hang out in a wine bar, and I don't even drink alcohol because I like the fucking people. Okay? They're not talking about killing nothing. They ain't talking about doing no dumb shit. No one wants to fight. Not one motherfucker ever. I ain't ever seen an argument won in that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I hang out, and I fucking love it. And sometimes no one even talks to me, but it's so fucking peaceful, and I feel like home. And that's a good thing. And I had to find that home. I had to find that place, man, because I went to bars and clubs because I'm a kind of a loner. You know what I mean? I was trying to find some place I could just be around people, but not be with people. You know what I mean? And I went to bars and this and that. I would see some fucking dude, and I was like, fuck this, man. And then eventually worked my way around and found this wine bar. I know, and it's stuff, and people are going to hear this and go like, this motherfucker's crazy. But there I am, you know what I mean, in the wine bar. I've had conversations with lawyers and doctors, and
little do they know
they don't know. I don't tell them. Yeah, I don't tell them. I never tell anybody. You know what I mean? I don't want them to know.
Imagine they see this and they're like,
yeah. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will see that and be like, look at this guy. You know what I mean? Because I mean, it's embarrassing how stupid I was at one point in my life, you know what I mean? And I know it's because I didn't care about myself. I didn't love myself. I just didn't. I did not care about myself, and I did not love myself, and I was trying to throw myself away is what I was doing. That was what my actions were all about. They were self-destructive because I just didn't care. I just didn't care. I just generally just didn't care. There was nothing to care about. Didn't have family. I didn't think much of myself either, probably. You know what I mean? I know I didn't love myself the way I should have. I think that was a lot of the problems, you know what I mean, that I thought that way. But I think that I want guys coming out today and in the future to realize that you are your own company. You should make decisions and choices that are beneficial to that company and that improve that company's standing. You don't have to fall back into the same lies of the neighborhood and the persona of this, that, and another. You can be happy just being you. Learn who you are. A lot of us didn't even, for me, I learned a lot about myself in there, but being out here and go sit by yourself and be quiet for a little while and just think and see yourself for who you really are, the man that you are, and it's tough. It's a tough fucking thing to do, dude. You know what I mean? Men, we go through so much and we do so many things, Don't be too hard on yourself. It was a fucking tough deal, man. You made it. You fucking made it, man. What are you doing now? What is it that you're doing now to be a positive impact on your community? What are you bringing to the table? In your instance, these fucking scumbags that played their little move on you, wonder where they're at. Wonder how their life turned out.
I actually get a lot of DMs from people that gave me a hard time in prison. They're like, "Oh, I love the show. Glad you're doing good."
Yeah, man. Because think
full
about
circle.
that. Exactly. It's what you're how am I going to judge you? I hate to be fucking judged. I fucking hate it because that's all I get from people. So I'm not going to judge you, man. Like I see the situation, circumstances like we all need to move past it. And then it's these guys that again get out. I don't try to live on that life. I don't try to use that part of my life. I've cut it the fuck out and hope that I will be successful in doing so with inside my spirit. That I'll be able to, one day, it will be gone. And that's the dream and that's the hope. But for the now, I did all those things, but what am I doing today? I'm a father. I have 2 beautiful kids. I have a great job. Even with all the trials and tribulations, I could have quit at any point in time in the situation when the state fired me for the tattoos. I could have folded at any moment and gave up and went back. My kids made sure that wasn't going to happen. I was like, but it's like letting that go, letting that whole life go and coming out here, and we need to show these men that there is a great life out here. Bro, I was on the strip last night, walking around, and it's almost overwhelming. The joy that I have for being free and for changing and not being the way I was before. And I walk around, man, and I took pictures of a fucking building, dog. Look how beautiful this building is. And I know people are looking at me like, this guy was a fucking terrorist. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was. But I got this gift. God gave me this, man, this chance, this opportunity. And when I wake up, and I swear to God, and he knows it, I wake up every morning, man, and I'm like, somebody fucked up. And I'm glad they did. You know what I mean? Straight up. I mean, I know it. I wake up every morning. I'm convinced. I'm convinced. I'm like, man, this is fucking awesome. This is so cool, man. I'm so blessed. I'm so lucky. Why me? I mean, I got survivor's guilt. I mean, for real. I got survivor's guilt because I'm looking back going, this seems almost impossible, man. This happened to me, man. And even the neighborhood I live in, the area I live in a nice neighborhood, man. I live in a nice area, man. And I just look around, I'm like, this can't be real, man. And I mean, that was a problem for me for probably the first 4 or 5 years, man. I would wake up scared because I thought this is fake. I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna be in fucking prison again, dude. I just knew it. I just fucking knew it. It was like that instant right before their eyes open. Oh shit, yeah. I'm still fucking here, man. This is awesome. And I don't see how dudes get out. We have to change that mentality. We have to change that. We have to somehow instill that in them. And I'm not a Christian, but if it's through religion or education or fucking something that we can give them that you won the lottery. Here you are. Enjoy it. This is heaven. This is heaven. You need to make it so. Leave that shit there. It's gone. You've done your time. Let's go over here and let's do this. And I like lame shit. Okay? Like I like the lamest thing. Think of some lame shit. I like it. You want to go look at the museum, walk around, look at some shit? I'm down. Okay? Anything lame. If you thought, if someone thought it, I want to do it. I want it. That's what I want. I want it to be as lame as possible, homeboy. Okay? Because that's my life and I fucking love it. I love every minute of it. I'm the guy that, and some people might see this and know, I'm the guy that was watching your kids at the zoo and I was the chaperone of your kids, homeboy. Okay? That's facts. And as I was doing it, I had to kind of laugh at myself to go, man, look at this. Fucking this crazy. No one knows, you know? And I fucking loved every minute of it. It was a fucking amazing. I'm so thankful. Like so thankful to be there, man. I'm looking at my kids are playing and shit. I'm looking at all these other kids and I'm like, wow, what a fucking trip, man. It's a trip because it shouldn't have happened, man. And I never would have guessed it would have happened. So you think about all those guys sitting in them prison cells, projecting what their future will be and not having any fucking clue what it's really going to be. Because who knows, you know?
I guess my last question for you would be, what would you tell your younger self, your teenage self, before, you got involved with street life and went down this path?
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, that's a tough one, man. You know what I mean? I don't blame my situation and circumstances on my past. I wish that I could have been more mature. I think that the decisions I made were more because I didn't care about myself. I genuinely didn't want to live, and my actions that's what they were. I mean, it was just me being self-destructive, me at one point in my life really just wanting someone to end it for me, because I was miserable, man, you know what I mean? And, so a lot of the way I acted was because I just didn't care, man, you know what I mean? And so I look at it and to tell myself that just to love yourself, you know what I mean? And to believe in yourself and, don't give up on yourself. Because, I mean, that's what leads us to that is that we give up on ourselves. There's no reason to do that to yourself, There's no reason to put yourself through that type of circumstance situation. You have a future, you have options, you have a chance. Some of us just don't know. We're not aware of it. But, I think that's pretty much it. I think I just having faith in myself, man, and believing, I don't think I was very confident. I don't think I was very, I definitely know I wasn't very confident in myself. A lot of my actions were that of someone who just was, not secure in who he was, you know what I mean? And most of the crimes and the stuff that I did was like with other people. And I was just, you want to be the tough guy or you want to prove yourself to people or you want to show other people who don't matter, you'll probably never see any people again. And if you put them in the grand scheme, if you wrote it all into a book, and you looked at it, they wouldn't even be added in any of the chapters later on down the road, but we give them so much importance in the moment of what people think or who you're trying to press, this one little individual that might change the rest of your fucking life. So I teach my girls, the first rule is family first. And so prioritizing family, yourself, your relatives, prioritizing that over everything else. People, situations being that, like me, okay, I get in an incident with someone and, I want to act out. I want to selfishly, address this situation, but that's not family first. It's me first. Me can't come before family. And so I teach my girls that, and I think that for me, that's the overriding principle that needs to be learned, that most of us didn't grow up with family. I didn't grow up with a family, really, you know what I mean? I just last night spoke with my half-brother that I haven't seen since he was 8 years old. First time we ever seen each other was last night at the motel room. And I think that a lot of the guys who go to prison don't have good family lives, don't have solid family units for the majority of them. And I think that philosophy of that understanding changes everything, because then you start thinking about your actions and what you're doing based off on how it affects other people. People who are in that lifestyle only concern themselves with themselves. They don't think about anybody else. When you're committing crimes and when you're doing dirt, that's you. That's all about you. It's a very selfish thing to do. You're not thinking about your family, and they're not putting family first. So, for me, I tell my girls that, and I believe that. I believe that that's the foundational principle that will keep you free, is that you prioritize other people beyond just yourself. And that's how you stay free, I believe. It's hard to do, though, because a lot of us don't have it. And a lot of the guys getting out, I wish, my hope and wish is that like you, I hope this is what you as well hope, is that some way, something I say will help someone. That they'll get something from this jibber jabber that I've been going on, that will benefit them in a positive way, and that they will use it to springboard them into their new future, one that is free, as you're meant to be. And that's my hope. I volunteer at the juvenile facility in Tecumseh, talking to kids, and I enjoy doing that. I like to talk to people, and I like to talk to kids especially. And I've even thought about advocacies to get into the prisons and teaching them how to do their job, and also talk to them about mental health, because let's don't forget, these guards, they take that shit home with them too. They see a lot of fucked up shit. And they'd have to do a lot of fucked up shit. And you can think about the mental health situation with guards. Can you imagine? These people are walking around in our fucking society, okay? And mental health is an issue with prison guards, just as it is with prisoners. So that needs to be addressed too. I've already contacted a college over there where I'm from about coming and speaking to a criminal justice class and, talking to them. I think that for me, I get the reward out of it is that it starts to make me feel better about the whole situation, and it's a release. It's a release when you talk to I get on the phone, I talk to one of my buddies, and he's talking about the prison thing, this, that, and another. And then when we get finished, when we're done, he hangs up. I notice that there's this feeling of almost release, and I think that that's something that we need to spread more of. And this is the thing I like about your show, is that I hope that it's utilized in that way. That I know that don't get me wrong, I understand that a lot of the crowd wants to hear the war stories. And, I've seen people raped, murdered, set on fire, just ugly things happening to people. But I don't think that should be the thing that draws us in. I think we should all be searching for an answer to how we change it. I think we should all be searching for an answer on how that we help these guys when they get out with their mental health and with their jobs and with everything else. I think it should be a support to that, because we're part of a fraternity, man. We're part of a club, and we need to, there's a lot that needs to be done. A lot, you know what I mean? And even if it is like, hey man, give them, they have these freaking hotlines for veterans and police officers to call when, that kind of thing. You have a support group that's really supporting you, that's actually wanting to see you do good in your life and wants to see you further it, you know what I mean? So I think that there's a lot of that needs to happen. And for me, that's my desire. That's what I want so much to do, is to help people and talk to people and try to get them to see the light, you know what I mean, basically. And I'm not, and it's funny because I'm not Christian, I believe in God, but I'm not a Christian. And I want to be able to give them that spirit of hope and, believing in that you can succeed in this world, and because you can do it, and it's all possible out here. Everything all those little dreams that you had while you're laying in that bed looking out that window, it's all possible. There's nothing changed. All those dreams that you had, everything that you thought about, it's all things that you can make happen out here. You just gotta work at it. You gotta make it happen. You gotta let go of that past, though. You can't hang on to it, because what are you hanging on to anyways? Trash, fucking shit. You're hanging on to shit. It has no bearings on your day to day. I woke up today, I've already went and walked around and got to shop and got to, bullshit with you and everything else, man. This has been a wonderful day. I'm going to leave here. I'm going to go to my adopted mom's house and get to visit with her, and then go home and go back to work and be a citizen. And, man, I love being a citizen. Citizen's awesome, man. It don't pay as good as other jobs, but it don't come with all the repercussions either and circumstances. So, yeah, man, this has been an experience, man. It's been a hell of an experience. It's been a hell of a ride, and it ain't all went my way. It ain't all went my way. It has not all went my way. I got divorced, lost jobs. It's been rough, man. You know what I mean? But I still love it, man. I wouldn't trade it for nothing, man. You know what I mean? Give me the fucking struggle. I want it. Because, man, look at this, man. Look at the life that you live. I know you can't even imagine. It must be wonderful to you, man.
It's crazy.
It must be, man. It's got to be. And if you don't, that's the thing you got to give. What you got. That's if you could give it to them, if you could give it to these guys coming out of jail, and they could get that, man. How do we do that, though? How do we instill in them that? How do what is it that's what I'm looking for, What is it we can do for these guys? I want them to have what I got. I want them to have it. I want to give it to them. I just don't know how to explain it to them, and I don't know how to get them to accept it, because we get trapped in our old ways and old ways of thinking, and we don't. I don't know, and I don't even know. Like I said, the birth of my child did it for me. I was like, oh man, wow.
Well, that's why having these conversations are important.
I agree. I think that this is I think people listening to us and understanding about humanizing, because this is a way to humanize us. We're just people. We're just regular guys, man. We did things and whatever. We had to go through things and this, that, and another, whatever, you know what I mean? But it's the redemption story. What are you doing now? Look at you, man. You went from that to this, That's the way I look at it. I don't look at where I'm at. I look at where I was. I'm where I'm gonna be at. That's ever evolving. We're gonna get there. It takes time sometimes, you know what I mean? But I never look at about where I was at, man, because that's fuck that. You know what I mean? That shit's over with, man. It's past. You know what I'm saying? And all I can do now is just take that experience and use it to build. I want to be a builder. I don't want to be a destroyer.
Absolutely.
Well,
Danny, I appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me, and man, it's been a good time, man. I appreciate that, man.
Good. I hope it helped you with your healing journey.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it will. I think it, and again, I think that another reason why I did this is because my daughters are going to watch it one day. And I want them to see not the gang member, guy, this, that, and that, just a dude. just a regular guy, who, did the best he could. And, that's it, So thank you for having me.
Of course, my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.